If you've ever watched the Cubs sweep the Mets in a rather exciting series of games, sorry, Brian, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It is indeed Monday, April 20th, so it is 420. Let the holiday jokes begin. Let the Elon Musk and Tesla jokes begin. We're not going to joke about the market here today. We're going to make sure that we find some trades. We're going to go through some news. I got a special guest here for you Monday. The draft is this week. The NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs are going, and the market is wild. Some more volatility here today. We're pulling back in the pre-market, but are the buy the dippers going to show up? We'll see. We'll talk about it. Benzinga's pre-market playbook, the Monday edition for April 20th, 2026 begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. I know I did. And that little bit of a break prepares us for today. Another week here in the market, starting up here today. And we are starting off with some comments over the weekend that is sending the market lower. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through some different news stories here today. Got a guest. And then, of course, we are going to trade and have some fun here. Derek is first here today. Good morning, everyone. It's Money Monday. I might be done for the day. So our first comment here today is somebody that has exactly the right attitude. It is Money Monday. We're going to make something on it. And he might already be done. Might I throw out a guess, Derek? Was it ENVB? One of our big, it was Silo, it looks like. Silo. All right, Derek. Really good stuff. That is exactly how you start off a week. Absolutely love it. All right, Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Rustam, good morning. Welcome back. Rustam's got a penny pick for you guys. BNBX. BNBX actually did come back into a fair value gap, but it is a penny stock, so factor that into your trade. Rustam, it's good to see you as always, boss. Welcome back. I hope that you had a good weekend, and I hope that you have a profitable week ahead. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning. Welcome back. Zach waxing philosophical for us here today. To Hormuz or not to Hormuz? That is the question. Good morning, Zach. Good morning to the Benzi gang, indeed. And really, I would amend that. I would say to bounce or not to bounce, right? We've seen these pullbacks on headlines just like this, and we've seen what the market does. So we'll see what we get here today. Reggie, it's great to see you as always. Stock-a-doodle-doo, up early, ready to go down the wormhole. Good morning. I got to be honest with you. The energy from the group here this morning, top marks across the board. Reggie, it's great to see you. Good morning and welcome back. Vincent, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Peter, it's great to see you as always. Peter saying interesting news in Japan. There was a big earthquake and a tsunami warning. I've got a tweet for you on that coming up in a little bit. But indeed, nothing necessarily to do right now. I've been watching the natural disaster list that I have on my X account since I woke up this morning. Doesn't look like there's anything imminent, but we'll put it on your radar just to kind of keep watch over. Graf, good morning. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Jim, good morning. If your fingers are free, hit the like. Even if they're not, do it with your foot somehow. Please hit that like. It's an easy way to support us. Producer, I appreciate you toughing it out. You're the best. Thank you, and good morning. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning, Sabres fans and others. Yo, that Buffalo Sabres game was bananas. I watched that entire game. I felt bad for the Buffalo fans who have been waiting to get back into the playoffs, and their team was a no-show for like 2.5 periods. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates burst open, and they ended up winning the game. I love sports, folks. I love it's the best reality TV out there. Change my mind. Actually, don't, because you can't. Anyway, Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. Brian, good morning to everyone but David Stearns. Good game, Ryan. Cubs were too much to handle. Man, I know I kind of made a joke opening the show about this. I'm not actually trying to poke fun at you, just kind of trying to rib you a little bit. I got what's going on in the locker room there for the Mets. I mean, you had, especially that third game, you had that thing won. I hope they were able to turn it around. Astro Kev, good morning. Welcome back. Any Tim today? We're ready to rock it. Tim is Wednesday's guest, and as far as I'm aware, he is going to be available. So Tim's coming on Wednesday. Robert, good to see you as always. Groovy Jams. Is that the first time you're catching our countdown? I think we've actually done pretty well with the music. Robert, good morning. Good to see you. Marinette, good morning. Welcome back. Astro Kev, good morning. Welcome back. Jay Harris, everybody rise and grind. Absolutely. Good morning. Welcome back. Cad Monkey, good morning. Who am I missing here? Ed, good morning. I think I just said that. No, I didn't. Ed, good morning. It's great to see you as always. Bernhard, good morning. Whis, good morning. Matthew, good morning. Happy Monday. Kenneth, good morning. Potg, good morning. Cam, Crankbait, good morning. Linda, Captain Cloudy, Maverick, and Durkus, good morning. Cameron, G Cord, AC, good morning. Chris, good morning. What did you think about the RBC Heritage finale? I put a bet on Scotty Scheffler. Got close. Oh, so close. Just passing through. Good morning. Rooster, good morning. Santhana, good morning. Abia, good morning. Forever to Bitcoin, good morning. Psychedelics are on his mind. PBM getting some continued momentum. That's in one of our movers. Barry, let me know what kind of levels you have for PBM. Izzy, big boy, hey. Good morning, Izzy. Good to see you. What's the thought here on Amazon, Izzy? I know we're down like a little bit. We're just below 650. Do you think Amazon's a buy for a potential scalp today? If the buy the dippers show up in the market, we are up off the lows on the SPY. Let me know what you think here in terms of whether or not Amazon makes a good target here for a day trade or anything else that you're looking at. But I know Amazon's one of your favorites. Yassine, good morning. HK Matt, good morning. Joe, good morning. Kenjalia, good morning. And Robot to Trade, good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right. Futures are under pressure ahead of Monday's open here, but as mentioned, they are up off of the overnight lows here. S&P futures down 0.42%, Dow futures down 0.46%, and the NASDAQ also down 0.42%. All right, let's check in on some cues from last session, shall we? On Friday, major indexes built on earlier gains and closed out their third consecutive higher week, boosted by news that Iran declared the Straits of Hormuz completely open to commercial traffic. Dow Jones jumped about 2.2%, and the S&P gained 1.4%, while the NASDAQ also posted some solid gains. The week's flows went primarily into financial, discretionary, and tech stocks, all of which lagged through much of March. Some of those are down here in the pre-market. Now, starting with this week, U.S. stock futures retreated early Monday as a weekend surge in U.S.-Iran tensions dashed hopes for a lasting Middle East peace deal that sent oil prices sharply higher and rattles investors' confidence heading into a pivotal week of earnings, which is really the big story for this week. Dow Jones futures dropped 0.7, while contracts on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ each fell 0.6 in early trading Monday. Again, they're down just about 0.4 now, so we are up off of those lows. The pullback comes after a winning week for Wall Street, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ climbing to all-time highs last week on the back of the ceasefire optimism and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. The weekend brought a sharp reversal. Iran had declared the Strait of Hormuz reopened, but by Saturday, vessel traffic through the key shipping lane was restricted again, with state media saying the U.S., quote, did not fulfill their obligations, end quote. Trump warned on Sunday he would, quote, knock out every single power plant and every single bridge if Iran, end quote, if Tehran did not agree to Washington's terms to end the conflict with a fragile ceasefire set to expire this week. More volatility on deck. As a result, oil prices surged over 6% on Monday in response, though they remain below the key $100 level. U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate crude futures traded around $88 per barrel, while global benchmark Brent crude changed hands at above $96. This week brings a heavy slate of corporate earnings that could set the tone for broader markets. Earnings season accelerates from April 20th today to April 24th, with key names that include the likes of Tesla, ticker TSLA, Intel, ticker INTC, United Health Group, ticker UNH, and GE Aerospace, ticker GE. They're reporting results that could influence the markets across tech, healthcare, and industrials. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.2% 0.274%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.741%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projection showed that the market is pricing in a 99.5% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current interest rates unchanged in its April meeting. There is no economic data scheduled for Monday. However, the week ahead is packed with market-moving events. The Senate Banking Committee has scheduled a confirmation hearing at 10 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday, tomorrow, April 21st, for Kevin Warsh, President Trump's nominee for the Federal Reserve chair. Thursday, April 23rd, that brings the weekly jobless claims report. Friday, April 24th, closes the week with the University of Michigan's final Consumer Sentiment Index reading for April. The New York Fed staff nowcast is also due on Friday. And just as mentioned here with oil here, WTI crude futures did surge approximately 7% to around 88.36 per barrel. Brent crude traded above 96 per barrel. Gold futures slipped 1.36% to 4,813 per ounce. And Bitcoin was trading around 74,800, down about 0.65% over the past 24 hours. European stocks fell broadly on Monday with the Pan-European stocks 600 down 0.9 in early trade. The German DAX fell 1.3%, and the French CAC 40 dropped about 1.1%. And the FTSE 100 opened 0.4 lower, with most sectors in negative territory. Asia-Pacific markets were mostly higher overnight, though U.S. futures erased those gains as the tensions escalated. Sorry for that awkward visual cue there, producer, but good job nonetheless. If we take a look at the SPY chart here, what's going to be most important about this, I think, is do we start to witness a regression back to the mean after some of the optimism, right? So as we just covered, optimism about a potential ceasefire, optimism about the strait reopening, optimism about maybe business and life returning to normal. And as you can see, market 12 straight days of up. Now, today, given some of those headlines, we're coming down a little bit. But again, if we look at the chart, we're actually back testing this trend line. We talked about several of these trend lines. We talked about first one that was a downward sloping trend line that originated from the all-time high. We expected that to be resistance. It was basically hardly any resistance. We went right through that. And then we also drew an upward sloping trend line through all of the highs, including the all-time high. And that gave us some resistance around 704, 705. Well, we were able to get through that and close above that on Friday. Today, with a little bit of a pullback, it looks like maybe we kind of tested this trend line. Ultimately, what's going to be most important here is where we close with respect to this trend line. So what I'd be looking at for here today in terms of key levels is where is this actually at? I've got this at 704.87. So I'm still on the 704 to 705 spot being a relatively key level. This was a former resistance level. It sure now looks like it's going to be tested as support. Are we able to close above it? We shall see. If we do close below it, then I think it makes sense for us to start looking for possible levels to pull back. The next one that I would have here, I mean, maybe that all-time high. We'll see if it gets some support. That was like 697.84, if I recall correctly. Let me see if I can grab that for you. For right here, that high, 697.84. All right, memory is working here on a Monday morning. We'll see if that provides some support, but then ultimately, I think this downward sloping trend line makes a little bit better of a support. We'll see how long it takes. The other thing that might happen is if this is not like an immediate regression back to the mean, it's possible that that 20-day moving average continues to trade up to come in and support that on a move down. We'll check on that on a day-to-day basis. But today, for here today, do we set a new all-time high if the buy the dippers show up in force, or do we back test this trend line? I think it's also possible that we kind of trade sideways here if we don't have a whole lot of like big news that's going to broadly impact the market. I'm not willing to say that, at least not yet. We'll see what the market ends up giving us. We'll see what hand the market gives us, and then we'll play that hand. All right, let's dive into some of the news here. The first one that I've got for you is going to be on Salesforce. Mark Benioff says that software bears, kind kind of dismisses them and says that the opportunity has never been greater here on some of these software stocks. And we've talked about this quite a bit. Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, ticker CRM, refuted the software bears who predict a bleak future for the software industry. Benioff's rebuttal on X on Monday comes amid the impressive performance by Agentforce at the Pearson and Penn Fed. At Pearson, Agentforce has been autonomously managing order statuses, refunds, and lost access codes, leading to a 40% increase in customer queries resolved without human intervention. That was reported by Pearson's VC, Gabrielle Bauman. Similarly, at PenFed, Agentforce has been instrumental in handling password resets and account unlocks for employees, resulting in a 40% reduction in total IT tickets, according to Sri Reddy, EVP and CIO at PenFed. Benioff underscores that these results validate the agentic enterprise's ability to deliver tangible ROI today and not just hype. He referred to it as agenticware, not software. Clever. Benioff's Salesforce has been facing challenges, with Wall Street predicting a potential downfall for the enterprise software company due to the rise of artificial intelligence. The business model of Salesforce, which involves selling software to large companies on a per-employee basis, is expected to be impacted as AI agents become more proficient at performing real-world tasks. Despite the fears of a SaaS apocalypse, however, and over a 28% decline in Salesforce's stock since the beginning of the year, Benioff remains optimistic. He believes that AI is enhancing Salesforce's value to its customers. He also asserts that leading AI labs couldn't replace what Salesforce offers in terms of security, compliance, and other essential features, and would rather partner with him. Benioff, in his interview with the Wall Street Journal, stated, quote, "People think we have our back against the wall, when in fact, the opportunity has never been greater." I've been trying to prepare the group for this because this is what I think is going to be the case. On Wednesday, Salesforce announced Headless 360, moving to an API-first model that enables AI agents and humans to run workflows across data, apps, and business logic, even as the broader software sector faced a sell-off. Headless 360 exposes Salesforce Customer 360 Stack via API and tools, enabling AI agents to operate in coding environments like Anthropic's Claude Code and Cursor. It also adds an agent fabric layer for governance and orchestration across AI systems. So again, my big thing here is ultimately, as far as trading goes, I really believe that this whole AI thing, I guess theme is going to be a more accurate description. I really suspect that these are going to ultimately create opportunities for the software companies that properly develop tools that actually help people. And so, it's nice to, or you could see some of these companies maybe dress some of this up as this, that, and the other thing. But I mean, realistically, I know from working here, and we're not nearly the size of Salesforce, but man, reducing or speeding up customer interactions for support, even amongst some of the low-hanging support, by 40%, that's notable. And I would love to see improvements like that. So I think this is only going to continue to get better. I noticed, at least with my own using of some of these tools, they absolutely help productivity. So I think the pullback in a lot of these SaaS names represent a buying opportunity. It's leaning on the group for which ones are the best buying opportunity. I think that's really the story here. And we'll see which ones end up being huge winners. AI is not going away. $800 billion AI spending spree drives valuations, and maybe they're a little rich. So again, when we're talking about this pullback here, we really want some of these quality companies to have cheaper valuations to make a little bit more sense. Sid Chararia of SC Marwar Capital said that the market rally is being driven by AI investment and strong earnings growth, but he cautioned that valuations are becoming, quote, a little rich, end quote, as investors price in future gains. Chararia told CNBC on Friday that investors should, quote, not get caught up in the noise, end quote, noting that markets tend to look ahead despite the global geopolitical shocks. He highlighted massive AI spending, about $800 billion in data center infrastructure by the largest technology companies that include Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta, in a single year as a key driver, calling it one of the largest build-outs in history. He also pointed to rising interest around potential major IPOs such as Anthropic, SpaceX, and OpenAI, as well as global competition, as factors keeping investors focused on the AI theme. He identified earnings growth as the second major driver, noting that S&P 500 companies generated about $2.1 trillion in profits last year and roughly $3 trillion in operating cash flow. He compared this with about $1.2 trillion in profits in 2019 and around $600 billion in 2009, showing a sharp rise over time. Jararia said this growth justified investor optimism, with capital flowing into sectors like chips and oil, where earnings are expected to expand further, supported in part by strong bank profits. Market leaders have reflected this surge. NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, surpassed a $4 trillion market cap by July of 2025 and reached $5 trillion by October of 2025. While Broadcom, ticker AVGO, and Jay Harris's favorite stock in the market, crossed the $1 trillion mark in December of 2024. Joaria said investors are paying a premium for this growth, pushing valuations higher. He noted that sectors such as semiconductor stocks have performed strongly as investors bet on future earnings. Still, he agreed that valuations are now a little rich, and this raises questions about how much future growth is already priced in. And I think that's going to be the big variable here in the calculus. What actually is rich? What is the AI worth? What are some of the new developments actually worth to the company? And what does that make the stock worth? I think ultimately this is going to take longer than a couple of days or weeks to sort out. I think that this is going to run all the way through this year, probably most of next year. And I'm also very confident that we're going to see opportunities that we cannot yet predict in this entire sector. So stuff to keep in mind here. I'm definitely looking for better valuations on some of these bigger stocks, but I think that there are going to be some surprises down the road. At least I suspect that that's the case. Okay. Now, chip stocks are showing a diverging trend. Stacey Raskin is back with some more information here. Let's see what he has to say. He's been great so far on all of AI. Stacey Raskin of Bernstein said surging AI demand is driving semiconductor stocks higher, but highlights growing imbalances across the sector. On Friday, Raskin told CNBC that the industry faces a clear shortage of computing power, with demand showing no signs of slowing. He pointed to rising memory prices and tight supply across the AI ecosystem, including chips, optics, and CPUs. He added that companies and AI labs are reportedly rapidly growing revenues, reinforcing that the demand is indeed real, even as questions remain about long-term returns on heavy AI investments. Raskin noted that semiconductor stocks have not moved in sync. While companies like Intel, ticker INTC, and Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD, have surged recently, others such as NVIDIA, NVDA, and Broadcom, AVGO, have been relatively stagnant for a period. He says investors have rotated into areas facing supply constraints, including memory and equipment, creating a split in sector performance. Raskin highlights a disconnect between high demand and stock valuations. He says companies like NVIDIA and Broadcom appear to trade at around 15 times earnings or less, even as the supplier's stocks surge. We're just talking about valuation. 15 times, not bad. He suggests this imbalance is unlikely to last, noting that the gap between different parts of the AI supply chain will eventually correct one way or another. Now, shares of NVIDIA fell 1.24% to 199.18. Broadcom declined 1.4% to 486, and Intel slipped 1.24% to 67.65. Advanced Micro Devices dropped 1.09% to 275 in Monday's pre-market session, and all of that is according to Benzinga Pro. we'll see. We'll see where we get some of these opportunities and if any of these trends continue to diverge and give us a thematic move as opposed to just one or two individual names. All right, Izzy, I'm glad you're here. Hopefully you're still here. And really quickly, I had asked you earlier, what do you think about a trade here on Amazon? You had said need more down on Amazon. So looks like the 240, 246, 248? Is that where we're at right now? 240, yeah. 247, 246 looks to be the pre-market bottom. I think you probably need a little bit more there. But we do have some news here that might be affecting it, and I kind of wonder if the market's going to buy that up or not. Walmart targets Amazon's biggest edge with an aggressive delivery overhaul. Think Walmart can make any news here? Walmart, ticker WMT, is ramping up its efforts to close the gap with Amazon, ticker AMZN, by speeding up deliveries, expanding its marketplace, and leaning on strong consumer demand trends. Walmart is testing a new approach that uses store back rooms to hold products from third-party sellers, aiming to enable faster delivery, including same-day delivery. Walmart really going after Amazon, it seems. Looks like it's out to get it. The company has launched these trials in select Dallas stores, building on its existing model, in which stores act as local fulfillment hubs and already deliver more than a third of online orders within 3 hours. By moving marketplace inventory closer to the customers, Walmart is working to cut delivery times compared with shipments from external warehouses or sellers. That was reported by the Financial Times yesterday. Walmart continues to scale its marketplace, which offers about 500 million items from third-party sellers who retain ownership until sale and pay commissions and shipping fees. While Walmart's marketplace revenue is growing close to 20% annually, as per the CFO John David Rainey, it remains significantly smaller than Amazon's. And that's a key. Do you think it can take a bite out of that is my question. Amazon recently pulled ahead to become the top company in Fortune 500, reporting $716.9 billion in annual revenue versus Walmart's $713.2 billion, which did rise 4.7% year over year. Amazon's growth reflects strategic shifts, including scaling same-day delivery and expanding Whole Foods, while its Amazon Web Services unit generated 45.6 billion, in operating revenue, and operating income on a 128.7 billion in revenue. Easy for me to say. That contributed to over half of the total operating profit. Walmart has created space for marketplace inventory by automating warehouses so its own goods arrive store ready, and this frees up backroom capacity. It is also using AI tools to decide which products to place in stores based on local demand, though limited space does remain a constraint. At the same time, Walmart is accelerating its digital push, with U.S. e-commerce sales rising 27% and global online sales up 24% in the latest quarter, reaching 23% of total U.S. sales. TD Cowen analyst Oliver Chen said strong holiday spending led his team to raise estimates by 4 to 5% and highlighted Walmart as a top retail pick, citing its ability to serve both high-income and value-focused consumers, its combined online and in-store strategy, and its growing retail media business, currently about $5 billion, with potential for significant expansion and higher margins. So do you think Walmart is going to be successful in taking a bite out of Amazon's apple? No pun intended. Would love to see what the group thinks on this one. To me, it's still Amazon's world. Everyone else is living in it. I know that I can't remember the last time that I sought out Walmart unless it was like a price check. Meanwhile, I used Amazon already this morning. So I don't know. I struggle on this. I know Walmart stock has been absolutely incredible, but I struggle to understand if there's actually going to be more of a gap to close here. I guess I'm still a little skeptical on that. All right. Next story here. I don't know how you folks feel about Palmer Luckey. I absolutely love his podcast. I think he does amazing work. I'm very, very excited about Andril, but a kind of a not so great warning here. Palmer Luckey says smart TVs pose, quote, a massive and growing problem for American national security and that users have no idea about them. Well, I'll start with the second part first here. I definitely had no idea that this was the case. I always kind of assumed that with the technology in some of the TVs, I mean, mine detects me as I walk by and it gives me information about the day. I just made an assumption that it was doing stuff like this, but I never really understood how much it's doing or how devastating that might be. And I'd like to get some opinions from the group here on what you think about smart TVs. I know I love the convenience and the added features, but let me know if this story moves you at all here. Cue it up for you. And you know what? I'm going to throw the link to this story in the chat as well. There are actually some pretty good tweets from the story here from Palmer that you might want to go through yourself. Last week, Palmer Luckey warned on X that smart TVs may pose a growing national security risk, saying that, quote, unbelievable amounts, end quote, of sensitive data could be captured and sent abroad. Quote, nobody expects that their TV or monitor is a surveillance tool, end quote. He added that when I have joked that smart TVs should be illegal, I'm only half joking. His comments were accompanied by a thread explaining automatic content recognition, abbreviated as ACR, a technology that is embedded in many smart TVs that identify what's playing on screen, even from external devices like gaming consoles or laptops that happen to be connected via HDMI. The thread cited a 2024 peer-reviewed study by researchers from UC Davis, UCL, and UC3M found that some TVs transmit data at striking intervals, roughly every 15 seconds for an LG model. That's ticker LPL on the Nisei, by the way, and every minute for Samsung TVs, which of course is ticker SSNLF on the OTC. Samsung and LG did not immediately respond to Benzinga's request for comments, but as we always do, we will bring you an update if we get that. The analysis was based on and captured network traffic, suggesting continuous monitoring of viewing habits. ACR data, it turns out, is highly lucrative. Companies like Vizio, ticker VZIO, reported hundreds of millions in platform revenue tied to advertising, while LG Electronics has built a sizable ad business around similar practices. The data collection practices have drawn regulatory attention, including past fines and lawsuits. While users can disable ACR in settings, experts warn that updates may reset preferences, making disconnecting from the Wi-Fi a more reliable safeguard. So kind of nasty there. Even if you're worried about this and you turn this off, a silent update that your TV just automatically goes through might turn it back on without you knowing. Unpopular Truth says, yep, and you manually have to go into TV settings to turn it off. You know, what's interesting about this is I've never really investigated this. And after seeing this story, when we get off the show here, I'm going to check into this. The TV that I have is a Samsung. I'll be honest with you. I don't live a spicy enough life for it to be getting anything juicy with these screenshots that it's taking every minute. Most of the time I'm watching TV on the weekend when I'm in my pajamas or watching sports at night when I'm tired. So it's not as if I'm really giving anything up, but still it's kind of a creepy thing just in general. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts on this. Yassine says, my LG does it all the time. Reggie says, very true. Casting with my phone, but my laptop is also receiving TV status for some reason. You know, what's funny about that, Reggie, is that I have a Samsung phone and obviously a Samsung TV, and I use that SmartThings app to control a lot of the devices in my house. Part of me, especially after reading this, is wondering, what other information is it gathering from my mobile device or in conjunction with the television? Might be able to pinpoint me, map out my home like the robots. A lot of stuff in there. this is really kind of the big, and I'm sorry for ranting here, but this is really kind of like the big thing for me. Like, I'm all about convenience. I'm all about technology making life better, but I'm old fashioned. I still like my privacy. And I don't necessarily want to give it away just for things that I might deem me just being lazy, like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Just don't do anything embarrassing in front of your TV. I guess that's the big thing. Okay. All right, folks. I promised you a guest earlier. I'm a man of my word. We're going to go ahead and do that right now. And you know what, folks? It's a guest that y'all are familiar with. It's a good one. Let's go ahead then and bring on Ed Egilinsky from Direxion. Let's go ahead and bring on our special guest here. Ed, good morning. How you doing, boss?
Good. Everything's pretty good. I apologize for the picture this morning. Our firewalls are too strong at Direxion. As a result of that, I'm on my personal phone with you. So happy to be here any way I can.
I appreciate it, Ed. Look, I love that you folks make time for us. Is it just you today?
I think Jake is trying to, our head of capital markets is trying to go the route of the phone as well, his cell phone. So hopefully he'll be on shortly. But
I'll say this, Ed. So first of all, I cover a lot of news here: cybersecurity stuff, hacking, AI, the whole nine yards. We are completely understanding with corporate firewalls and corporate security. I think that's probably better anyway. Y'all folks are friends of the show. If we can't get Jake on, maybe we'll make some more time and get him back on.
That would be great.
That wouldn't be a problem at all. So no worries there. We are quite adept at handling tech issues, that's for sure. It's great to see you again, as always. I know the market has been absolutely crazy. I know that there are a lot of people in our community, as well as my afternoon community, some of which don't make it here, that often trade the Direxion ETFs. I cannot thank you enough for taking time here to join us. Let me just go ahead and dive right in. We're going to start with the whole geopolitical picture here. With all of the geopolitical risks over the last 6 weeks, what are some of the sectors or industries that traders have gravitated to? I got to imagine defense is like top of the list here.
Yeah, definitely defense is one of those for sure. It's been a headline-driven market, absolutely, Ryan, as you know. I mean, every tweet, ceasefire, this morning, what's going on. So the biggest focus is definitely the reopening of the strait. The elevated oil and other commodities, the fear of stagflation. So our 2X bull and bear on the energy stocks, the energy select sector index like ERX, ERY, on the oil and gas and production index, the gush and drips. And as you mentioned, what's going on with the defense stocks, particularly DFEN, which is on the aerospace and defense. That's a triple leverage bull. But also we have some single stocks on Boeing, for example, 2X bull, BOEU, and also Lockheed Martin, LMTL. So number of different ways we're seeing people trading right now with what's going on in the market. Of course, defense stocks come to mind first and foremost. The energy stocks as an indirect play on oil itself. And then lastly, Ryan, I mentioned stagflation. What's going on with interest rates? The Fed's meeting next week.
Yep.
We've always had tremendous flows on the bull and bear on the 20-plus year Treasury. Your viewers must know TLT. We have a triple leverage on TLT, bull and bear, TMF, TMV. So people are playing that going into the Fed meeting. And also we have on the 7 to 10 year also triple leverage bull and bear, TYD and TYO. Did I throw enough tickers at everybody early in the morning? I hope everybody had strong cup of coffee to start the day like I did.
Yes, they absolutely do. We're big time coffee fanatics around here. It's always more tickers, more better. That's one of the ethos that we have here around the show. So that's absolutely fantastic. Look, I just have kind of a side question here.
Sure.
One of the viewers in the afternoon program that we do is big time on defense, and I swear I think one of his favorite tickers is in fact DFEN. Are you noticing at all any more flows into some of these levered ETFs, whether it be treasury related or defense related or commodity related? Are you noticing more and more traders kind of trying to use this leverage to their advantage?
Definitely. I think when you get volatility that's increased like this, Ryan, and also the type of volatility, you're going to see some traders taking magnified views, short-term traders taking magnified views. So definitely when you see a pickup in volatility like this, you tend to see trading and activity and volume pickup. Definitely on the energy stocks, when you're talking about the energy stock indices, the leverage products for sure. Across the board, we've seen increase in volume. The big thing this month, though, is usually you see selling on the rip on the bull funds and buying on the dip. When it comes to the bear funds this month. But last month, the reverse took place where, of course, the market sold off and you saw a lot of bull buying on the dip and selling on the bear side. So you usually see a lot of counteractive type of trading. Not always the case, but you tend to see bull buying come in when the market's going down, and you seem to see selling on the bull funds when the market's going up, and vice versa on the bears. And that's playing out for the most part this month as well.
Okay, and we'll see if we get another example of that here today. Ed, I've got really good news. We'll make another joke here. It appears that your better half is ready here. Just kidding.
Just a little less hair than me, so that's why I have him on with me.
All right, let's go ahead and bring on, I hope I get the name correct. I've never spoken with him before. Jake Behan. Jake, welcome. Did I get your name correct?
That hits. I was in Ireland recently. I've been told I've been pronouncing my own last name incorrectly for 42 years, so it's actually Behan, but we'll go with Behan. This is how I've been rocking it. Here with my fellow follically challenged counterpart, Ed. Hopefully we can add some value. Talk about coffee. I'm dealing with some technical issues here pre-coffee as well. So
that's okay. Jake Behan, I'm also Irish, by the way. Sláinte. Awesome. CMT, head of capital markets here at Direxion. First of all, we're happy to have you here. Ed's been doing a great job in all these appearances. Double Direxion, double the fun. That's my theme here. Look, I was just asking him about the geopolitical risks over the last 7 weeks. The move into defense, as well as some of the treasuries here. Did you have anything that you wanted to cover there, or anything on the tickers or the charts at all?
Yeah, I think defense was one where you sort of need to distinguish between, a tactical trade and something that's more strategic. Maybe you already talked about this, but that space obviously had a great run up in 25. Sure. And we realized sort of a sell the news element. And I think, traders saw that was something that could have been oversold on the correction here. And so, commensurate with some of the resolutions we're getting, we're actually seeing, much to what Ed said, trading on the reversion. We're seeing some inflows back into defense after it's corrected our ticker defense.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens as we continue to get headlines out of this. I mean, it seems like it goes back and forth every day. We got more headlines. As Ed said at the beginning here, it's a headline-driven market. We're seeing already seeing some more of that here today. But it's not the only theme going on. So let me add, I would throw this to whichever one of you wants to take this. Do you believe that the semis will continue to lead this market? And why has there been such a performance divergence between the broader tech and semis?
I'll take the beginning part of the sketch.
Go ahead. I had one. Semis are like, I thought about this in an analogy of like a bridge builder, right? Semis are sort of building the bridge, and tech is trying to get people to cross that bridge, right? So what I mean by that is the semiconductors have a much more quickly monetizable use case right now in terms of what we're talking about, the infrastructure trade with semis. Tech has a longer duration monetization. And so that's why we've seen this almost historic divergence. If you look at the outperformance of semis this year, first tech, it's a really notably stretched. So that's also something to pay attention to when we get to those extremes. Do we see a little reversion and snapback? And that's why, being nimble with our products and being aware of both sides of these trades can be useful.
Yeah, just to add to what Jake said, a lot of people probably look at XLK versus, let's say, SOXX. We have triple leverage bull and bear on those respective indices that they track. And you see the divergence this year. Why is tech about a 30% spread difference versus the semiconductors? And a lot of it's due to the software stocks, including what's made up of XLK. The technology select sector index, about 25% is software, and that's underperformed, and largely Microsoft in terms of that, leading to that differential there. So maybe from a software standpoint, it's been pulling back. Maybe there's a buy on the dip there that you're seeing. Microsoft's rallied a little bit. Some of the software has last week. But the semis continue to lead the rally, and we're seeing significant inflows this month in SOXS, which is our triple leverage bear, and people selling on the rally, which is SOXL, which is our triple leverage bull. We also have some leverage and inverse single stocks. You talk about what's leading semis right now. There's a little bit of a bifurcation. CPUs and memory are definitely leading the way in semiconductors. So if you wanted to play it a la carte, so to speak, or a single stock, we have a slew of 2X bull on the semiconductors, most notably MUU, which is Micron, 2X bull. We also have the inverse bear on that, MUD, aptly named, MUD. But we also have the single stocks with Qualcomm, AMD, Taiwan Semi, Intel, NVIDIA. We just added Marvel and ASML. So a lot to choose from when it comes to the semiconductor space, for sure, both on the broader semis as well as single stock semis.
That's awesome. We were just talking about Marvell here. I know Marvell is up again here this morning, up another 5%. What were the tickers on the new Marvell products you have? Do you have those handy off?
I think MRVU. Let me
just double check. That's the one.
MRVU, spot on.
Yeah, you get me. You didn't get me yet, but you will eventually.
What was the other one? Sorry, Jake?
No, I'm just how we whip it around on the desk there, Marvu.
Marvu. Okay, Marvu. I like that. That one I can remember. Actually, it looks like that's getting some pretty significant interest here as well. Okay, and again, double direction, double the fun. I have several folks that are constantly looking at either SOXS or SOXL, depending on what they think is going to happen. And the volatility that you spoke about earlier, Ed, it's seemingly one day we're up, one day we're down. It makes these instruments great to trade back and forth. Now, let me ask you, do you believe that the rally in crude oil is sustainable, or have we seen a top? And then using some of these direction ETFs, what are some of the ways to trade that space?
Well, I'll start off just talking about, listen, the situation remains fluid. Crude oil did hold the 80s last week, even with that temporary ceasefire being announced. Jake could talk about the technicals, but to me, there's going to be a continued premium in crude oil prices with the geopolitical risk that's ongoing. Even if you look at the futures curve, which is in backwardation, what does that mean? Demand is exceeding supply. You go to December on the West Texas futures, you're still talking over $70. So that's something to keep an eye on. In addition to that, when you're looking at right now the inflows we're seeing in particularly bull and bear on the gush and drip and ERX, ERY, as we mentioned. So volume definitely picked up in that since the war started, for sure. And even before the war started, there was a little bit more volume pickup in those leverage energy indices because of the fact that crude broke, it seems like a while ago, above that major resistance point in the low 60s, even before this. One thing I'll also add, we've seen tremendous amount of volume in our COM ETF, which is really the antithesis of leverage and inverse. Our COM ETF is a broad basket of physical commodities. That'll be longer commodities showing a favorable price trend in cash with the commodity showing a downward price trend. As you can imagine right now, we're long 11 out of the 12 commodities. Interestingly enough, we're in cash with natural gas. We track an index from a group called Auspice Capital, their rules-based index. We've seen tremendous flows there, but that's for strategic asset allocation. Commodities have rallied in March in particular. The market was down. Even your traditional flight to safeties, gold and bonds didn't perform in March. So COM, for those that are more asset allocation, want to diversify outside of stocks and bonds, that's a place they may want to go that is not leverage and inverse.
How about you, Jake? You have anything on the charts or technicals for this?
Yeah. So I had jotted some notes down, knowing I was going to do this today, and one of the things I wrote down is, are we really out of the woods yet? Right, and clearly we're not. The developments over the weekend. You want to talk technicals on crude? I thought this was one of the cleanest, technicals 101. Crude can be fraught with technicals, but I like it here. We had this really clean uptrend, after the conflict started. What happened was you started to see some diplomacy. We break that uptrend, right? That's the first step. Then we held 90. We got some more diplomacy. The Strait is open on Friday, and we priced out a lot of that uncertainty premium that Ed's talking about, right? So quickly dropped down, towards 80. But where was the high in today's session? Right at 90.91. So that 90.91 level is going to be, a critical line in the sand, so to speak, as we shake out the diplomatic efforts here.
Okay, great, and we'll use some of these different ETFs to trade that. Just like we talked about with some of the tech and chip names, XOMX. This is, I know, one of your bull 2x ETFs. XOM, we affectionately call this ZOM around here. This is another highly traded name here. Great to see you have some ETFs for that. Now we're in earnings season here, so big banks kicked off the earnings season. And do you believe post earnings it can be a catalyst to jumpstart financials? I know we've talked a lot about FAS and FAZ in the past.
Yeah, Ed, I got a quick one here. I think banks really capitalized on volatility this quarter, right? And so if banks are only capitalizing on volatility, I don't know if that's a good thing going forward. So they tend to be a balancing act between profiting from the trading revenue and then the consumer health, right? So heading into earnings season, what's going to be important to watch is the health of the consumer, and the data shows that the consumer is strong at the moment, but guidance from these companies where cracks in the consumer could start to show. So we'll see.
A couple of things to add to that, Ryan. Good points by Jake. You had the big bank earnings last week. Talk about the consumer. If they're still strong, certainly you're going to see that with credit card earnings over the next week and a half with American Express, MasterCard, Visa. Something to keep an eye on in terms of the true pulse of consumer and how healthy they are right now. The other thing is you've seen a big divergence this year between financial select sector index, the big banks, versus regional banks. And part of the reason is the overhang of the private credit exposure of these bigger banks. And as a result of that, you've seen the regional bank index up for the year. Some people know it as KRE. XLF is still down for the year. So there's a big divergence there. So it's interesting to see if they narrow the gap at some point, the big banks. FAS, FAZ, triple leverage bull and bear on the financial select sector index. And we also have triple leverage on the regional banks, just the bull side, DPST.
Yeah, DPST. This is another one that our group pretty actively trades around here. Okay. Interestingly enough, I actually have a small short on XLF right now. So we'll see if we get the financials to pull back. Financials were a great start to earnings season, but everyone knows it's the Mag 7. The Mag 7 drives the boat around here, and that starts this week. This week's Mag 7 earnings kick off with Tesla. Can you give us any insight on how traders are positioning themselves going into these earnings, whether it's in some of the individual ETFs like TSLL that you've talked about with us before, or even maybe some of the index ETFs like QQQU or QQQD?
Okay, Jake.
Yeah, so Tesla's an interesting one, right? I don't know if it's trading like an automaker or more of an adjacent AI play. They just had weak deliveries come through in Q1, and the stock's basically ripping. It broke above this pretty clean downtrend, right? And it finds itself recouping, maybe battling with the 100-day right now, kind of, or maybe it's stuck to the 200-day. But in any case, that's a good story for us here. To your point about positioning, we're seeing really material inflows over the last month and 3 months to TSLL. We're talking, hundreds of millions of inflows there. So that's a clear, the earnings drive volatility, and that's a clear use case to be in two-sided in our position in our products, right? Earnings are later this week, and that's going to drive a lot of volatility in the name.
Absolutely. Earnings are going to be Wednesday after hours here. And just as you mentioned, I know I've got a lot of lines in my Tesla chart, so it may be difficult to see. I apologize. Very, very clean break of a downtrend that was really in place since December of last year. We've recaptured the 200-day. We're basically sitting there right now. We did make a run towards that 100-day on Friday, Jake, and it'll be interesting to see if we get that again here today or if we get that this week with the earnings. This, to me, especially with this break here, Tesla's at a decision point. I think, I don't know what the earnings are going to entail. I don't know what direction it's going to go, but TSLL, TSLS, probably going to be one of the better trades of the week, depending on what direction Tesla ends up going there. Ed, did you have anything here on some of the Mag 7 tech earnings?
Yeah, just look at RSIs, coming off the lows at the end of March. You're in overbought territory in the majority of the Mag 7. You can exclude Apple and Tesla there, as we just talked about.
Sure.
I think with Tesla this week, I think the SpaceX news, if there's any, and the continued focus on autonomous vehicles and robotics is really going to be the things that drive Tesla. I just don't think it's going to be the EVs and their deliveries, for example, that are going to propel this stock and maybe break out of this range here that we're seeing. And the rest of the Mag 7 reports next week, excluding NVIDIA. So, we're going to see a major pickup. We have all of the Mag 7 single stock 2X bull on the long side, inverse bear on the short side. So we're going to see some activity. We always do pre and post earnings there as well.
Yeah, it should be great. Tesla's probably one of the most often traded stocks in our entire ecosystem here at Benzinga. It consistently ranks among one of the top search stocks on a monthly basis. And I agree with you. I feel like that delivery and car maker story is kind of past now. We're on to bigger and better things here. All right, so the group here will riot if I do not ask you about metals. They will literally riot, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Why do you think traditional flight to the safety trades last month, like bonds and gold, didn't perform? What are some of the drivers for gold to regain its shine? And I guess if you wanted to throw silver in there, you can, but I'm sticking here with gold.
Well, think about the tremendous runs we've had in gold and silver. So you were definitely in overbought territory.
Yeah.
Same thing with the gold miners. We have the 2X bull and bear on the gold miners and junior gold miners. Of course, people know Nugget and Dust and JNug and J Dust, but those are on the gold miners and junior gold miners. So those are the stocks themselves. They tend to have a higher beta than gold. But if you look at gold and bonds, why they underperformed last month, all you have to do is look at oil. All you have to do is look at rates rising, fear of inflation, or dare I say stagflation. So the flight to safety last month was the US dollar. And as most of your viewers know that trade, there tends to be an inverse relationship between precious metals and the dollar. So if you see the dollar starting to stabilize and also maybe weaken, that should give an impetus for the gold and silver rally to continue. What's interesting is people are finally selling out of their gold ETF positions. Jake could elaborate on that, but I believe this is the first time in 9 months that on a monthly basis, we're seeing outflows in gold ETFs in terms of the group as a whole.
What do you make of that, Jake? Is that what you're seeing? Anything you can trade off of on that? You know what? We might be dealing with some more tech issues here. I'll get to Jake if we get those resolved, but I am going to keep moving on for the time being. Here's the thing. This is a $64,000 question. This is the big one that everyone wants to know and everyone is thinking about. This rally, do you think that this recent rally to new highs is sustainable? And are traders buying the momentum for maybe another breakout to the upside here? What are some key short-term critical levels for the S&P and what does your gut tell you on all this?
Listen, we've broken out to new highs. I think we got Jake back. He could talk a little more technicals. The VIX is down to 18. The interesting thing is Bitcoin, to me, really hasn't participated as much in this rally. You hit a low around 70,000. It's up to around 78,000. I would have expected more in terms of from that risk-on asset aspect to it. You have overbought conditions both in the NASDAQ 100 right now and the S&P 500. When you look at RSIs, I think a lot of the good news is baked in the cake here. So we're seeing some action in SPXS, which is our triple leverage bear on this rally this month. And we're actually seeing SPDN get a lot of interest as well, which is our inverse 1X on the S&P 500. So individuals that may want to hedge, maybe looking at it a little longer, it doesn't have the 2 or 3x leverage associated with it, SPDN. So they still have to monitor it daily, rebalance accordingly. But it is a tool that we're seeing a lot of clients use that want to hedge maybe their long exposure right now.
Okay, so a trade up to new all-time highs. Looks like a little hedging going on some of those inverse ETFs. Jake, is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I don't know of a fund in our lineup that has a better use case right now than SPDN. When you start to trade at all-time highs with hot, RSI readings like Ed mentioned, we're at 73 plus on the SPX and the NDX. You can pull SPDN stops up right behind those highs and protect and lock in unrealized gains. So that's just one name in our lineup that's got a good use case. For your point as to levels to watch, we created a lot of air gaps in pricing on the way up,
Yeah, we
right?
did.
And so those naturally create little pockets of support and resistance. We've got that big one that I don't want to see again between 6750 and 6600. Clear that 7,000 would mark a line in the sand, right? Round numbers for 6,900 if we start to pull back more materially from there. But those little price gaps that we created on the way up, I think, are those micro levels to watch if you see a retrace here off the highs.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff. I appreciate both of you. Is there anything else either one of you wanted to throw in here before we adjourn for the day?
NBA playoffs started, NHL playoffs started. We're going to have to touch on that next time. But let me just tell you, Celtics look pretty good. I'm a Celtic fan. I'm biased. But Spurs Celtics, that's going to be my finals pick. The Mag 7, all the excitement starting this week in the markets, certainly NHL and NBA playoffs as well. So we'll see what happens.
It's so interesting. So Spurs Celtics. So you like the Spurs over the Thunder then?
I like the Spurs over the Thunder. They match up well, I think.
Okay.
But again, past performance isn't indicative of future results. And based on my past performance, I would not heed my advice. It's for entertainment purposes only, but I'm a Celtic fan, so I'm biased there. And I'd like to see somebody else get there. Wemby is must-see TV for sure.
Look, he absolutely is. I'm someone that grew up in the Jordan era. I absolutely loved basketball in the early 90s. I've been totally soured on it the past couple of decades. I'll tell you what, Ed, Wemby changes the calculus for everything. It is something else. If you haven't checked it out, you should. And by the way, the NHL, the hockey is my favorite. And that Boston Buffalo game last night was that was absolutely bananas. So we'll check in with you guys again. We'll check in on all of that. Hopefully we'll get you both back here. Double direction, double the fun. We're going to have to coin that, I think. That's really awesome.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us.
You got it. Ed and Jake from Direxion, right straight from the horse's mouth. We really appreciate it. Absolutely awesome stuff from both of them there. We'll look forward to having them back. Cannot thank Direxion enough for all of the insight on a lot of those. So, okay. Really, really awesome stuff. Let's see. Do we have 13? We don't have 13 yet. Hopefully everything's okay. But in the meantime, I do have a couple of tweets that I want to go through. Let's go ahead and get those started. Let's do street tweets right now. All right, first one here comes from Zero Hedge. Iran willing to attend the second round of talks with the U.S. That came from Pakistani officials. This was new as of this morning. This is notable because there were other headlines that we got about how, well, the talks aren't off and it's back and forth, and very clearly a lot of back and forth stuff here. But this is new as of this morning. So we'll see what impact that has. Remember, market is gapping down here. Do the buy the dipper step in? Does this tweet help? We'll see. We'll see what happens when the market opens here. Producer, next tweet. All right, this next one here, Peter actually commented on this earlier. I did want to mention here, I absolutely pay attention to natural disasters, especially earthquakes and tsunamis. So we did have a tsunami warning for Japan here. Waves of up to 3 meters are expected. I haven't heard anything since this initial warning came on, but we did have an earthquake there. We'll see. We'll see how this ends up shaking out throughout the course of the day. We'll see if it gives us any trading action. Okay. All right. Let's get back to yes. Sorry, I'm trying to do way too much myself here right now. We are having an issue with 13, but we're going to try and get him on as soon as possible. Producer, can you help with that? I don't know if you have a way to reach out to him. Let me just try and do this here real quick. Okay. In the meantime, let me go ahead and see what is moving on the movers tool. We'll see if we can get 13 in here. Producer, please give me a hand. Let me catch up and make sure I didn't miss anything. Check your text messages. Got it, 13. Got it. I'm having Aaron reach out to you, so please answer the number that you don't recognize. Let's see. Jay saying also 13 wants straight open. I think we all want the straight open, don't we? I think that pretty much goes without saying there. Okay, we need to call. Come on, Lion, get with it here. Get with it here. The amount of high probability setups I've been murdered in the headline hurts. Okay, all right. We're gonna have producer get 13 on here. I'm gonna start with some of the movers right off the bat until we get 13 on. Let me go ahead and flip over to the movers workspace. First one here is going to be ENVB. So bear with me 1 sec while I go through all of this. Let me get this back here. We're going to start with the chart here on ENVB. I saw several of you were already trading this here this morning. Hopefully this went well. ENVB up 115%. What's notable here is we've actually had our second impulse move of the morning. This is what the daily chart looks like. So we've seen this stock before. Let's not get fooled. Interestingly enough, this move here basically took us right to a sideways area. So I definitely think that this is resistance. Now, what's going on? What's causing this to move? And Varic Biosciences surges over 90%. Other psychedelic stocks soar on Monday. So whoever started the show by saying that your mind was on psychedelics seems like you were on the right theme there. A lot of these seem to be running here. ENVB doing this again, 121%. PBM was one from last week. That's also moving again here today, up another $5. So it looks like we've got several of these rolling here. Let's take a quick peek at the financials on this one. And I'm sorry, I know 13 normally has all of the stuff prepared, so I'm sorry for stumbling over it. ENVB does not have a whole lot of cash on the balance sheet. They have been cash flowing positive the past couple of quarters here, but barely. So I still think an offering might make sense here. Quick peek at the short interest on this, 5.09% of the float shorted, 2.22 days to cover on this. So there's some short interest in here, but it's not huge. On average, the stock trades 500,000 shares. It's done 57 million shares here today. So first of all, the days to cover, not going to come into play. Way too much being traded here. 1.388 million shares in the float. This thing's going to be super easy to push around. And we also, of course, we have a trend line. And this trend line is absolutely going to represent a target here today. We're holding above VWAP. Let's see if we continue to hold above VWAP here and then maybe set that up. Okay. Jay says, not 13, Ryan, China. Yes, again, trying to do too many things here by myself. And that led to that. So I'm sorry for that. Let's bring on the actual 13, not the president of China, but instead our excellent trader and researcher, 13. 13, good morning. Sorry about the technical snafus. You'll be happy to know that it's not a you thing. It's not just you. We've had multiple
okay.
here.
Yeah, I typed in there's nothing that I changed with the password or anything, so it should have just came right in. And I got the information. It was the same thing, so I typed it in the same thing I just did, and I logged in. So I don't know what's going on with Restream, but good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend.
Tech issues, baby. Tech issues. We are as experienced as it gets with dealing with all of them. First of all, though, 13, we're happy to see you here. Look, I just broke down ENVB. I don't know what you covered here today. Did you have anything on Enveric Biosciences?
We're seeing a lot of some of the movers from last week. A lot of those biotech names that were moving on the Trump's announcement of psychedelic drug approvals.
Yep.
We had the Ibogaine approval. We had that whole thing with Joe Rogan in the White House over the weekend. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these biotech names run. It's Enveric, Theriva,
yep.
Science, Clearmind. That one's back.
CMND.
Yep. So a lot of these biotech names from last week are also going, as are a lot of the some of these oil names, some of those smaller ones like Battalion and Turbo, just not very much, but they are still getting elevated. And we also have a little bit of movement here with USAR, a little bit of a lagger from last week when CRML was running. This should have been running with it a little bit more, but here we are with this as well. Now, back to ENVB. This is just, I think, a continuation from last week. They had that 13.9 million private placement, so don't think that there's any problems with them financially at the moment. I did have some resistance levels when I was looking at this, and we were trying to come back up, and we blew through some of them. 415 and 450 were some earlier levels I had because there was a gap fill. If you go to like a daily chart on ENVB.
Yep, got it. I just really quickly, 13, I'm sorry, before we get too lost in the weeds. Kathy is bringing up PSIL, which is a psychedelics ETF. Kathy, I don't even think I realized that this was here. This was a great mention. So if you're looking for more of an ETF exposure, I know we just talked to the Direxion guys. If you're looking for more of an ETF exposure here for the psychedelic stuff, PSIL, great mention there, Kathy. 13, I'm sorry for breaking your momentum. Here's your ENVB chart. Here's your daily chart. What do you got?
So there's a gap fill that was going to. Okay, so you're moving away from it. There's a gap fill that we just. If you look at the
right here, right here.
Right there. Yeah. So we just filled that gap. A little bit higher, we have some resistance levels, but you can see that 6 clearly looks like the next. Resistance area.
Sure.
So 6 is going to be one area that if we start climbing in to 5, that's where I think we're going to end up running to. We could see 6, maybe higher, but we are getting very extended here right now. So I'm just putting 6 out there in case we do end up going there. But once we reach 6, I don't know how much more we're going to get because we are pretty extended today on this one. Real quick with that ETF, PSIL, that's the first 4 letters of psilocybin, which is the psychoactive ingredient in magic mushrooms.
Right. Yeah. Have you traded the ETF yet at all?
No, it's my first time seeing it.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Like this is the first time that I have seen that ETF, but I'm unsurprised that Kathy is who is bringing it to our group. Okay, really good stuff. Did you have anything else on ENVB?
Nope. I do like your trend line though. So if we do go up, I could see that being the thing that breaks us out to 6. So we'll see if we end up getting that. But 6 is the next resistance level if we move into 5.
Okay, good stuff there. ENVB. We'll see if we get that 5 there, 6, maybe even 450 here. We shall see. Zach here says we are micro trading by doing all of this. That's of course a play off micro dosing. LOL. Zach, you've got all the jokes here this morning. Okay, moving on. Next, we're going to do PBM. This is Science Biomedicals. Fits into the same theme that you were just talking about. If we zoom out a little bit here, this is the interesting part. Obviously, on Thursday, this thing started to move. Friday, it kind of took a break, but it did hold higher. Today, we had another impulse move that temporarily brought us back in. This kind of looks like a channel, but I guess the way I drew it, it's more of a very long triangle. Look at it however you will. It looks like we tried to trade back into that, but could not. So 13, one of the first things that I'm going to do here today, I'm going to extend these trend lines into today's session. I would imagine that these are going to be wild given the news. We'll see if these come back into play. We'll, at minimum, have some of these trend lines already drawn on here. PBM spiked as high as 20. It's been in a downtrend ever since. It's had multiple tests of the VWAP. One peek through, no closes back above the VWAP. We've actually just lost the 65 EMA as well. So we'll see if this thing finds any support. Quick peek at the short interest on this, 4.95% of the float shorted with 3.37 days to cover. On average, the stock trades 1.87 million shares. It's done 14.5 million here today. The float is only 1 million on this, so it moves around effortlessly, if you will. 13, what do you think here on ticker PBM? Papa Bravo Mary.
So here's another one that we had. You mentioned that we were trading this Thursday and Friday. This is the one that was on the Ibogaine news.
Yep.
The company has no revenue. It does have some cash. But I think we're just going to want to, do the same thing we did last week. Trade this, get in, get out, get our trade in and be done with it. I think what we're going to want to watch for when it comes to this one, if we continue lower, it looks like there could be some support at 12.25. That's the high in the pre-market from Friday. And I think that if we come down there and we could get support in that area, maybe at 12, a little bit lower, but I'm thinking that if we continue to leak into the open here, since we've lost the 65 EMA, that would be where I think the start of the support could be. Okay. Maybe it comes all the way down to the 200 EMA. Wouldn't be surprised if it did. But that resistance clearly is going to be that VWAP is clearly going to be a resistance level, as is the downtrend that I drew from the two peaks that we had here in the pre-market. There you go. So watch for that to break or the price to break over that if we manage to get back up to the VWAP.
Okay, really good stuff there. Also, Bernhard mentioning that it's had 3 big reverse splits, this name in particular. The most recent one came in February of this year, February 2nd. This thing did a 1 for 6.25. Last year, around May, it did a 1 for 7.97. Where are they getting these numbers? I have no idea. And then prior to that, back in 2014, or the end of 2024, excuse me, not 2014. The end of 2024, it did a 1 for 75. So this stock, no stranger to reverse splitting. Just keep that in mind here. I am going to go with Jay's overall comment here. We'll start with Jay's joke first. Jose Cuervo was my psych back in the day. Jay, I'm so glad that you shared this with us because this explains a ton now that we all know this. LOL, JK, you're the best. But then also here, on a more serious note, regarding some of these psychedelics here, if you own these from the past, whether you were bag holding or whether you kind of liked this, it does seem like this is a selling event. Jay, I'm with you on this. It is. I'll tell you what, I know that the news about getting it approved fast, Buffalo by Bicycle made a great point. Whether you love or hate Trump, he gets things done quickly. I know that you had said that this is all because of Rogan. Don't forget, Rogan had Rick Perry as a guest on multiple times on his show. He's actually been working with people affected by PTSD and some of this stuff to kind of lead to this Ibogaine thing. So it's not as if Rogan just rolled out of bed, showed up at the White House, and now we have this. There's actually more behind the scenes on that. But all of that as an aside, I tend to agree with Jay here. I think that at a minimum, this is an event in which you book these gains. Will we get some better trades? Sure, maybe. We might also get some pretty big pullbacks. Look no further than the cannabis sector and all of that. But nonetheless, we're getting the event now. Hopefully, it allows you to ring the register there. All right. 13, are you ready to talk about Clearmind?
Let's do it.
I know you are. Clearmind Medical shares are trading higher after the company announced that CMND 100 met the primary endpoint in its FDA-approved phase 1 and 2A clinical trial. This is in the exact same theme here, but we also have FDA approval here. We had an impulse move right out of the pre-market here that took us to 153. This retraced about 90% of that move and bounced, reclaimed the VWAP. We've actually made a series of higher lows now on this VWAP reclaim. This has actually, this most recent impulse move does give us a trend line that might be a target here. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 1.97%, 1 day to cover. I would say that's negligible for today. 100+ million shares versus an average of less than a million. Float here is 2.4. 13. What do you think here for CMND?
Well, just like PBM, this one had a trend line and we broke out of it. That just happened about 20 minutes ago. Well, we had our first break about 20 minutes ago. We back tested it. Now we're getting support from VWAP and we're heading higher.
I fixed the trend line to match the one you just spoke about. My apologies.
Okay. No problem. So it looks to me like the next area we could find resistance is going to be in that 150 area. When I go over to a daily chart to see if I can identify some more areas of resistance, then they really start to stand out. So I do like the 175 area, $2 just because it's a psych level. I have a former area marked off in the 230s. So we'll go with 230, 235. The 65-day EMA is also bearing, coming down. So that's up at 275. And if we even get up that high, we have resistance at 3 just before a massive gap fill that could take us up to 4. So there's several, nice levels that we have here in CMND. Don't know which one's going to be the big one that reverses the price here, but the next we could just go with what we know, and it looks like for me that 150 is going to be the next, that 150 to 175 area is going to be the next big spot of resistance.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens if we break through the pre-market highs and how far it runs.
Okay, now I will say, just kind of looking at the volume here, this last volume pop, less on total volume than the previous one, but we did have some new highs set. So we'll see if this turns around at all. 150, 153 is what I have on that pre-market high resistance area, but really good stuff there, 13. Okay, next one is going to be WLDS. This is wearable devices. Now, this one, I think we officially have to classify this one as an ex-girlfriend, 13, because I feel like we've traded WLDS a handful of times here. I remember, didn't we trade this on some Apple headline about one of its some bracelets or wristbands for the Apple Watch? Wearable Devices announces a future cooperation and partnership with Meta, bounds to integrate Mudra's natural wristband technology with Meta Bound's augmented reality hardware for a seamless user experience. So wristband control for the AR glasses. This creates basic technology chain to achieve intuitive spatial interaction. We'll see if they're successful with that. This makes sense given what we've seen from this company before, particularly with some of the wearable watches. Quick peek at the short interest, 6.42% of the float is shorted with 2.4 days to cover. There's some short interest there, but certainly nothing for a squeeze. At least I don't think so. On average, the stock trades less than 100,000 shares until it has a catalyst like today, and it's 20+ million. Float is 3.2 million. 13, what do you think here, WLDS?
So I remember I was trying to figure out when we last traded this and what it ran on. This was back in early September, and this had been going off of results from their first half, EPS. They had reported a year-over-year increase, and that caused the stock to go like, I think 700%, maybe more, the following day. So that was September 9th to 10th. And you can see from the chart that we went from, what is this, like it was like $2 and change, and it ran all the way up to 34.20 in a few days. I must have some other data.
It might be showing after hour stuff, because I'm fairly certain that this stock has been crazy in the extended sessions as well.
There it is. There.
I only have it going to 12, but this is the super spike that you're talking about.
Yeah, either way, that's where the movement was. And that was the news. They also have done a 4 million private placement. They did right after that. That's why we started to see it leak lower. But as far as where this goes today, let me just pull this back here. We are at the 65 EMA on the daily. So if we manage to move past that, I would say $3 is probably your next resistance area, because that is the September low, I think. right before. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, right before we had that big move. My charts are way different than yours. I'm not broker, so maybe I shouldn't be talking about this one, because this one has the resistance over the $3 area as the basically the launch pad prior to that news that we were just talking about. And now we're coming back up to that same area. So I'm not sure if there was like a reverse split or something that made this all wonky. But anyway.
I see exactly what you're talking about here. I will say that my chart matches my broker's chart perfectly.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what's going on. But just to kind of steel man your point here, it does look like we're trading. Let me actually measure this. I have a high here at 260. That was from the recent spike that was on March 11th earlier this month, or excuse me, earlier this year. That was last month. That to me sure seems like that's going to be one of the areas of resistance. And it's also worth noting that back in November of last year, we spiked into this area. And then in October, we also used this exact same area as support. So I think there's something significant here in the 260s on WLDS.
I'd be looking at, for just based on what my broker's chart is telling me, $3 and $4 look to be the big upside resistance areas if we can get past this.
Okay.
Well, we are past it now, the 65-day EMA. We just moved past it, it looks like. And we're trying to get through VWAP here. And that should take us up to 3.
All right. We'll see if we end up getting that. Okay. CJ Strait, I don't know what else. Did you have anything else on your list? Because we're running out of time here. I definitely want to get to SkyQ.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do want to talk about SNDK. So we'll do that here right ahead of the open. Did you have anything else on your list, 13?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So a couple of other things here. CMPS, this is Compass Pathways. This is trading higher here this morning. This actually looks like this is going to try and move through 9 here. Compass Pathways to participate in Needham's virtual psychedelics forum on April 27th. So that might be something to mark your calendar. Oh no. Come back. There we go. I clicked a button on my search bar. This is the dumbest thing Microsoft does. It's rant time. I clicked a button on my start bar at the bottom that hides every single window. It's literally like a 2-pixel wide thing all the way at the bottom right corner, and I lost everything on my desktop. Thankfully, I was able to click it again and get it back. Sorry about that. So anyway, CMPS, this is in the same psychedelics theme that we've been talking about. It is worth noting, though, next week they're going to have a conference, virtual psychedelics forum. That's going to be on Monday, April 27th. Maybe these will get kicked up again for that. But that's why that's moving here. SkyQ, this is one that we have traded recently. SkyQ here, I don't have any fresh news on this. Last piece of news was a joint piece of news regarding oil and gas companies. SkyQ here, it looks like on the opening pop here, this traded up to about 1270, came all the way back in. It's actually holding beneath its VWAP right now. This to me just kind of looks like maybe a relative volume thing, maybe a trade off of just a previous move. I don't really see anything special going on.
Well, it's off of the Strait of Hormuz being shuttered again. We've had Battalion and Turb, all those small low float names.
So nothing specific to this, more of like a theme thing. Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's just, all those getting volatile again because, we're suddenly back into the situation where the Strait is a problem. So that's why I think this is moving here today. It's the same thing with Turb and Battalion oil.
Okay.
But anyway, if you want some levels, we could probably identify that real quick.
Go ahead. The first one that I see here is 11. Tell me if I'm crazy. I think I've got 11 and 15 are some of the big ones. You might have another one in there.
I like 1030, 1035, but that VWAP on the 5-minute chart, we're having a hard time getting back above that. So I think that's number one. We get through that, I think we're seeing the other side of 10.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there, SkyQ. Go Steve D. Greetings, boys, from a chartered tour bus in Ireland. Been out here since last week and headed back to the States this week. Go Steve D. That sounds absolutely amazing. I'd love to see pictures from that. Enjoy it and hope all goes well. Okay, really quick here. Von Rivera asked earlier, is it a buy the dip day here today? And I think that's going to be one of the big questions. I would say that if I had to answer right now, I would say yes, it is. And this is why. Here's our overnight gap down. So far, we've traded back up. It appears as if traders have already been conditioned to buy the dip and are doing so. Will this continue? Completely close the gap, go green? We'll see, but it definitely looks like there's some buy the dip mentality going already. Now, let's also talk about SanDisk, because today it is officially part of the S&P. Here's what SanDisk's chart looks like, holding just shy of 1,000, up near all-time highs. Now today, we should expect some more inflows into this name. Yassine was asking earlier, can we talk about this? Can we take a look at SanDisk? So does anyone have a trade here for the open on SanDisk? I'm just trying to pull the group here. I know it's spiking in the pre-market. It's what the intraday chart looks like. So it's spiking in the pre-market here. I think that it is almost a certainty that this thing tests 1,000 probably this week. I know that's not like a crazy prediction. 13, do you have anything here on SNDK?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's probably going to go to 1,000 because if this enters the NASDAQ 100, you're going to have funds buying it up to rebalance. So I think that's going to be what you end up seeing here. Just, and that could take it to 1,000 or a little bit higher, but I don't know how long this will last. So if you are looking for 1,000 to take gains, it's probably a good strategy.
Okay. All right, folks, we're open. Let me get back to my main workspace. And 13, I actually got to step away. I ran out of time here today, but there was a lot going on. There was a lot going on. Let me figure out, let me see what's going on here first.
PBM trying to push up out of the gate here. Still having trouble with VWAP. ENVB also doing the same.
CMND, same deal. Resistance there at 140. So all of this looks the same.
ENVB apparently can only be liquidated depending on your broker. Now we're getting a pull here in a lot of these names. SkyQ pushing up still. We'll see if this can get this candle to close over the VWAP. To answer your question, though, I think probably was wait out the morning. We did end the week last week being extended here, and I was expecting that we would come back in with how much we've run. I don't think we're going to come down to that under 630, where we were correcting earlier. I don't think we're going to come down that low. ENVB pushing higher, by the way.
Yep, right through 450. We were literally watching it as that happened. 13.
Yeah, the price might and SPY might come under 700. I would expect that to find some support, but I don't think we'll be underneath it for too long.
SanDisk here right out of the open, an impulse move up to 950 and a pullback here. I wouldn't be surprised to see some post-open shenanigans here. The market is also traded up right out of the open and is pulling back here. I almost think the market will get caught at VWAP at about 707, 708. SanDisk here, I look for this to trade with the market. I still think this goes to 1,000. Jay, you agree with both of us, thinks it goes to 1,000 there. There we go. There we go.
Good morning, Zippity Duda.
And ENVB, no chill, dude. Full send through that 450. Now it looks like the pre-market highs might be next to fall. All right, 13, I'm going to step away very, very briefly. I'll be right back, though.
Your thing. All right, well, he's gone. Let's see here. CMND coming back. So this trend line that we drew earlier, we broke through it prior to the open here. Now we're coming back down towards it. We want to see this hold up as support. And that's going to mean that we need to see somewhere between 115 and 120. We need to see that area hold up and have the price not go any lower. If we get that and we start to turn around, I think we're going to see higher prints than 140 out of the open here. I'm sorry, in the just before the open here. 153 is the pre-market high. Wilds, this couldn't get above its VWAP, coming down to some of these other EMAs, the 9 and the 15. Getting some support at the moment from those. ENVB, here we go, going up to 543. Congratulations if you took that one. That one was looking pretty good. If we look at ATAI, we will when we have Ryan come back. ASTS, big drop this morning. Yes, they had a satellite that they had to deorbit because yesterday, Blue Origin, that Jeff Bezos rocket company, they had a New Glenn rocket that successfully took a payload, the ASTS's payload, up into orbit, and the rocket came down and landed. So it demonstrated their reusability. Unfortunately, the deployment of that satellite, the Bluebird 7, was too low, so they couldn't really get that satellite to work, and it's not going to work, so they're going to have to deorbit it. So that's a loss of that satellite, but it's fully insured. So this drop in ASTS might represent a buying opportunity.
Okay. Let me take a look at the ASTS chart. Sorry, I was just checking on Bird because that's peaking up here a little bit, but here you go, 13. Interesting.
Yeah, and I tried to post about, I posted about that last night in happy hour. So anybody that was coming into the market super early in the morning had already that information ready to go, and they could take advantage of this. But anyway, we need to look at, let's see, what was the one here? We're going to look at. Somebody wanted to look at, I think it was AXTI, or I'm sorry, ATAI. At Scott wanted to look at.
Okay. Good to see you, Scott. Here is ATAI. This popped right above the pre-market high there.
All right. So this one kind of gapped up this morning. We are getting a pretty extended here on the daily chart. It just was over 80 RSI a moment ago there. What is the news today with this one?
Sorry, 13. Sorry to interrupt here. First of all, great mention on ASTS. That thing's bouncing already. CMND halted to the upside here, 144. And I'm sorry, what ticker do you have here? I'll load it up. I just wanted to catch up.
We were looking at ATAI.
ATAI. Gotcha.
Yeah. This one had, the only news I see here is that it was surging with, I guess, some of the other psychedelic stocks, and it had a price target raised to 15 by Canaccord. So that's the news I'm seeing here today. If we are going to get some more upside, it appears to be resistance at 6, but I think with how extended this is already, you may want to, if you already own this, you may want to sell into this move. Could end up filling that gap to the downside if we cannot hold 5.
Yeah, so it doesn't say specifically here about psychedelics, but it looks like it's in all of the same things here for treatment-resistant depression. So I would imagine that this is probably with that entire thing there, that entire theme, excuse me.
ENVB, we moved over the VWAP. We're still getting support from it, and we're trying to hit 550. So that's ENVB. Psychedelic stocks doing pretty good right now. And looking at some of these other names here from last week, seeing what's doing good. Looks like Inflection pulled back. That was anybody catch Inflection when we were? That
was a monster mention by you, 13, and just an absolutely. Let me actually pull that up here real quick.
That was a fun trade.
Here's your Inflection. So let me ask you the tough question here. I'm just going to start early with this pulling back. Possible buy opportunity?
If you're a believer in this company like I am, with their cash and their no debt, and that they've got contracts with the government and other partners, this could be one of the best, if not the best, quantum play that's out there. I know we have Ionic, which is also going to be really good. But I still have a small position in this, and I am building it back up as it goes lower.
Okay. Do you have any spots that are interesting for you that the group might benefit from?
Let's see here, because I'm going to go with what's on my charts, and looks to me like because I like this around 1550. I think that's one of the spots I was taking some gains on before we had the big move on Friday. So that could be support, but I do like under 1350 as well. Like 1325 seems like a really good spot. So if we do manage to come down that low, I think that's a really good area to add.
Okay, 1325. That, you know what? Let me actually do a price there. 1325. I'm just going to remind myself of this because last time that you mentioned this 13, I got distracted and I took it off my screen, and then before I knew it, it was busting a move, and I don't want that to happen again. By the way, ASTS, what an amazing mention here right off the morning here. ASTS, look at this dip and rip. I actually got 35 cents on this, and that's terrible because this thing's already moved $2.
Yeah, and because that loss of the satellite's fully insured according to the company, so it's not going to be a financial hit for them really. It's just a bit of a delay. This shouldn't materially impact their timeline for rolling out all different kinds of satellites. They're going to be launching more. So this is, I would guess I would just chalk it up to a minor setback. So I think that's why it could be, it could represent a viable opportunity.
Okay. Now I will say, I know it's early here, but it sure looks like this 7750 is acting as resistance for this. A nice little dip through VWAP, multi-point move. Okay. We'll see if this provides a good trade. Great mention on ASTS. I went to the bathroom at the wrong time. It looks like came back to some pretty good information. Good stuff, 13.
So another one that I've been mentioning, that's been taking off lately.
ASTS trying to go through 77. Sorry, go ahead.
Is BlackBerry.
Uh-oh. What do we got on BlackBerry? I know this is almost like a labor of love, right? This is a long-term trade on BlackBerry. What do you got?
Well, what I said last Thursday is it had some very interesting news lately, and it could be more of a defense name now. So and one of the things that I pointed out about BlackBerry when I looked at their monthly chart is every time that we've recaptured and closed the month, pretty much, if with like on a volume recapture of the 50-month SMA, we've extended higher. We've been trying to close over the 50-month in the past year several times, and we've maybe got one close over it, but it didn't. It wasn't very high up. It had no volume, and it came right back underneath it. But historically, in the past, every time that this has had a high volume move through the 50-month SMA, it's gone on a really large run. So kind of waiting for that next run to happen. Maybe with this recent move over the 50-month SMA, we'll see what happens the rest of this month. We still have 10 days left. But if we do close over it with this kind of a move, we might go on a run with BlackBerry.
All right, so possible BlackBerry swing long here. ASTS now 78 looks like it might be coming. I'm still amazed at that call. CMND looks like this opened and halted to the downside now. So your second haul, we basically traded up into the pre-market resistance area, halted up there. Now we've opened, moved lower, halted again. This is still above VWAP though. That's CMND, clear mind.
Yeah, Sel, don't listen to us with ASTS. You are clearly locked in.
Yeah. No, look, if you're that is, well, let me ask you, what is your exit strategy for this? I'm guessing based on what you're saying that this is a long-term time horizon and you're bullish on the whole space prospect. But nonetheless, I'm interested in how you're managing such a massive winner trade there, plus 50 points.
Yeah, then Biff mentioning USAR, they had a deal today too. This one and CRML, their charts look very similar, and we're trying to break a downtrend. There's a trend line on each one of them, USAR and CRML. I don't know if we've gotten through the trend line on CRML yet. Let me look real quick.
Sorry, 13, just to step in here real quick. The SPY had that impulse move out of the gate. It's pulling back a little bit. My indicator is flirting with a buy signal now for a buy the dip. I have no position as of right now, just reporting what my indicator has given me there on the SPY. Here's your USAR chart. Did you want me to start with this one or CRML?
Go to a daily, because I think you'll see it better if you just look at a daily chart. Yeah, you see the trend there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that and CRML, they look almost the same. Now, the difference is, like, of course, the price and the moving averages, but the charts look very, very similar. I wouldn't even
really quick. This is the trend that you were asking me about, right? I got it.
That's it. That's the one. So we're getting through that trend line now in USAR. We're still trying to get through that trend line in CRML. But if you go to CRML, you can see we have the exact same trend.
Sorry, I thought I saw it. CRML. I thought I saw it on my scanner already, but it disappeared right as I tried to click on it. Here you go. Let me draw the exact same trend, 13. Sorry about my tools lagging a little bit here. We got this.
Yeah, so CRML is still trying to get through this trend line. But I think these, I've been talking about these for several, I think a week or two now, about how these are looking to break their trends. This is what I'm expecting out of these two. And this whole rare earths and minerals theme is not done. because we've only had a 1-year truce with China on rare earths. So that's that 1-year mark is rapidly approaching. I think September is when we hit it. So I think that's going to give rise to these again because it's an unresolved issue.
Let me ask you, do you think we're going to have any updates on that if and when Trump meets with Xi in May?
Oh, I think we will.
Me too. So I actually think that this might be a theme for next month. Maybe keep it on the back burner, even if you don't have a position now. It is interesting that the charts are kind of setting up an important position as of right now. Let me follow up with the chat here. I'm not ignoring you. I know there was a lot of stuff going on. Debt AI saying pops in ARTL, also mentioning Lunar. Matthew says I'm in ASTS 43. You've already trimmed. I know I was asking that question of Selena earlier. You're giving me that answer as well. I've already trimmed and I'm playing with house money right now, Matthew. That is great trading right there. Selena, I had asked you ASTS long term, but I have stops in place for profit, so you're not going to let the trade go against you. Absolutely love that. And BR Zally asking about Axon, which I know has also been a big mover. Shame on us. We haven't looked at this recently. What is Axon doing today? Actually, this looks like a former support and resistance area. Axon's still kind of in a nasty trend, though. Like this thing cut in half from August of last year.
Yeah, I think we talked about this one being a really good idea because this thing has just been cut right in half. Let me look and see what we were saying in happy hour because we did talk about this one at one point. Let's see here.
I think one of the things that we talked about recently with happy hour is just with the kind of the increased unrest here, whether it be military or law enforcement or otherwise, the body cam stuff is not going away. If anything, it's proliferating. And I would imagine that is probably a catalyst here after a sizable pullback.
GP38 saying CSCO flying, so Cisco is flying. And, there's going to be I've got to get this list together, but I think one of the next themes that we're going to want to pay attention to is going to be the bottlenecks of pretty much everything that the AI runs off of. So like the really big ones, like we could see ASML continue to go higher. Rare earths, obviously, there's a bottleneck. There. We had some stocks react to a potential helium bottleneck in Lin and Air Liquide. Those two big helium providers. Yeah, there's supply chains, exactly, supply chain, but bottleneck specifically, because I think power transformers, big bottleneck. Just look at Powell, POWL. I mean, some of these are just like the only companies in their space that their backlog is all we've got,
Real quick here, 13, just because this is moving and I don't want it to go by here. Ed mentioning FCHL. I know it's a penny stock. BNBX, I think, was the penny stock that Rustam was on earlier. Ed mentioning FCHL. This is curling back towards its VWAP. Pre-market actually gave us a range up to $1. So maybe a potential double here if this gets going. I'm going to pass on this, Ed. Good luck in your trade on that. And then what else did I miss here? I think I'm finally caught up now. BR Zally, we cannot tell you what to invest in. We can tell you what we're seeing, however, and what that might mean, but we are not licensed. If you need that type of help, we all suggest getting a fiduciary or some type of financial advisor. I know 13 more on the fiduciary side. Also, regarding with some of the stuff that we were talking about there, we had a poll earlier and the results are in. The poll question was, when will the U.S. and Iran reach a deal? 33% of you said within a few weeks. 31% of you said there will be no deal, which is, of course, a path to escalation. 20% of you said several months out, so playing the long game. And 16% of you, very optimistic, said by Wednesday's close. So gives you an idea of where folks are with the U.S.-Iran reaching a deal there. Looks fairly spread, to be quite honest with you. MP, several of you folks have mentioned MP. Again, I'm sorry, I know there was a lot going on here. Let's take a look at MP. 13, you mentioned USAR earlier and CRML. MP also in that same sector, if you will. 64 looks to be the resistance. This was the resistance on Friday morning. It looks like the exact same thing is happening again here today.
Yeah, I think you're just getting a lot better of a trade in USAR and CRML because of their share structure and their price. I mean, with the MP, this is a float of 161 million shares, and they're trading at just under $62. Meanwhile, USAR, that float's large too, but this isn't nearly as expensive. I think this also had a little bit higher short interest. I'm not sure about that, but I think because of how out of favor this was compared to MP. And at MP, we've known about MP for a long time.
Yeah.
It was formerly a SPAC. I remember that one. I think it was like in 2021 when it merged. But this one, and this one also had news, USAR, because they are going to be acquiring Serra Verde Group.
By the way, FCHL 13, this is why I tried to interrupt, because I saw that this one was curling, and indeed it continued. This actually did go through the VWAP. Now, it's got to hold through the VWAP. We'll see. I have that value there at 62 cents. It's at 64 cents. Ed, this was a good mention, or Edward, excuse me. This was a good mention. I'm sorry I couldn't get to it sooner, but this did pop there. Your penny stock, FCHL. All right, market is pulling back here, so that that buy signal from the indicator worked, but was very, very short-lived. Now we're pulling back to the 9 EMA there on the SPY. We'll see if that firms up at all here, but it looks like a bit of a pullback at the moment.
Look at the movement here in CMND. We got a break through that trend line. We went up to 150, I guess 151. And when we came back in, we back tested that trend line, and now we've bounced and recaptured VWAP. So this is looking to go higher, but there's a large selling away at 150.
Okay, here is your CMND. That 150 test is going to be big. Okay, Lion here saying Iran is tough to deal with, and they have that warrior mentality. It also seems like there's two groups of people that we're dealing with, or at least making comments there. As a result, it could last a bit longer. We're already seeing that Trump's initial time frame, it's already passed. So we're already seeing that that's going to be a little bit longer. How long is going to be the $64,000 question there? Good mention, 13 on CMND. ACN getting mentioned by Cam. I know you had talked a little bit about this. I don't know if you saw, but I did ask Mark Petrino about this on Friday. Mm-hmm. And I'm going from memory, so I really don't want to put words in his mouth. By the way, subscribe to Mark's Substack. It's awesome. I asked him if we thought that this was bottoming. And I think one of the things that he said was like, maybe wait for this to go through 200. Now, here we are today, up another $1, up 0.5%. Looks like we might be knocking on the door of 200 here later today if this continues. So ACN, maybe that bottom is in.
I recall hearing him say that he was looking for a recapture of some kind. There was a level.
Wasn't it 200? Am I getting that wrong?
I don't remember what it was.
I don't either, but that's a good point there too.
It might have been 200, but I do recall that it's what you said. He's waiting for a specific level. I think it was recapture 200, maybe the 50-day SMA. I'm not sure if that was one he included or not, but it's just above the $200 level and would represent a very big recapture of a moving average that has once we lost it, it was providing resistance. Let's look at the price action. Prior to losing the 50-day SMA, it was at support in January, and then at the end of January we lost that support and we tried to recapture it, resisted, gapped down. So I think a recapture of the 50-day SMA would be quite bullish.
One thing that's kind of interesting here, I know that you guys were talking about tech. Tech has been kind of pulling back from some of the morning levels here. But interestingly enough, Apple is diverging from that. Apple's still up 1%. And I just noticed a whole bunch of call sweeps here. So it looks like these are the calls for today. These are all short-term calls. So it looks like today and then also Wednesday. 275, 272.5. Looks like there are multiple sweeps here on Apple. Apple is curling back up. We'll see if maybe this makes a move towards 280. Just noticing that here, though. Somewhat interesting. Intel calls in size, 1,300 Intel calls. Traders spent over $600,000 on that trade. Those are the 70 calls that expire in June. We had NVIDIA puts conversely. I also saw that there were Marvell puts that ran across that. Let me see if I can find that trade. Here we go. 1,340 Marvell 118 puts for May 1st. Trader only spent $50,000 on that, but it sure looks like they're looking for a Marvell regression back to the mean after we took this trend line out.
Folks mentioning DFTX, it does look like it's trying to get some support from the $23 area, which would be a that area in the pre-market from what is this, Friday? So I could see it trying to get some support right here. The thing that I need to see with this next, which it might do right here, is a recapture of $24. That would take us back above the 200 EMA. That put us right on the doorstep of the VWAP. But I think that's what we need to see happen next year with DFTX. We need to get back above 24.
And this, of course, was moving on the White House executive order on the treatments for serial mental illnesses using some of those psychedelics. So also a part of that theme here. This is retraced almost its entire move, but we'll see if we get a bounce there, to your point, 13.
Friday's high was 23. Yeah, I think in the pre-market, that's about what it was. But I think those highs from last week, we're going to want to use those as support for this week.
That FCHL penny stock is doing its best to hold on to VWAP. Also, Gore, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You were asking about Fly. Let's take a look at ticker FLY. This is Fly Aerospace. Now, we can't tell you what to do with your position, but I would say if you're up 80% in 2 weeks, that is definitely trim territory. I understand if you want to have more longer-term exposure, that's all independent of your trading plan, but I'm telling you what, if I'm in an equity and it's up 83% in 2 weeks, I'm probably booking some of the gains there. Here's what Fly looks like today. We had a nice, this was down with the broader market. We had a nice little pop, but we're basically right at the midpoint of where we were on Friday. I've got 46 as the intraday high there. I know this is one that we have been talking about a little bit in happy hour. There's several folks that are in Fly here. This does look like it's got some more room up to 50. I don't know if it goes exactly there today, though.
It does look like it could run to 50. Just bear in mind that this is already overbought up here right now. So if this does climb up towards 50, I think that is a really good signal for you to either trim or readjust your position, maybe take some gains. Because I think after we hit 50, just look at the last time we've hit this after losing that level back in August last year. That's a big resistance area. Now, first visit up there, we might find resistance, but the more that we hammer that $50 area, the more likely we are to move through it at some point. It just might not happen. I doubt it's going to happen the first time we get up there. Great W-shaped recovery here that we're getting out of Fly. And this is a stock that actually already does, our company that already does have rockets. They're just not up to, Rocket Lab or SpaceX yet, but they're going to be in the space, and they are going to be one of the ones that likely gets a lift from the SpaceX IPO as well. So this is definitely one of the ones to keep an eye on, or even hang on to if you like it. But I think at $50, you definitely want to be thinking about maybe taking some gains. Okay.
All right. Good stuff there on Fly. Joe saying, Ryan, what's that?
FCHL. That was a great mention.
Sure was.
I was watching that. It had a trend line. I thought, you know what? This looks like it's trying to come back up to that trend line. We just crossed and got support from the 200 EMA. That I think was the spot to buy some. And now here we are coming up to the trend line. Great mention. Great mention. Look at sound.
Really quick before we do that, let me get a task going on the side here. Joe's asking if we can take a look at the Ondas news. I'm sorry, Joe. Was this a fresh piece? Obviously, the stock's responding well to it. That's great. We're up 3.2% here. And yeah, this was out. Okay, so this was out before we started the show. So let me get to work on this, Joe. 13's breaking down that next stock there. Let me see what I can find here. 13, you wanted to go to which one?
Oh, I don't know. I was just making.
Damn it! Sorry.
No, it's
Sound. It was SOUN. You wanted to take Butcher's question here.
Yeah. Okay. We can look at SoundHound. So this one, I mean, it's only up like about 1%, not even a full percent yet. what's the thought here with this one? Let me look at this on my broker.
Yeah,
I know
nothing fresh here. Yeah, no fresh.
I know it's another AI name. It looks like we're at a resistance area. A lot of sellers right here between 815 and 820. And we do have the high from Friday was 818. So we are coming up to a resistance area. But if we do manage to get through 818, 820, there's a little bit more of a run it could go on, maybe up to 850. 847 was the high from, I think this was Wednesday, or I'm sorry, Thursday's pre-market. I do have 875 as a level there as a resistance, as a resistance line. So if we do manage to get past 850, 875 is probably where we're going to end up going. On the daily chart here, gosh, I have a lot of lines on this one. Yeah, 875, and then after that, it looks like we might get up to, if we go beyond that resistance level at 875, I could see 935. But 10 really does stand out quite a bit after that. So those would be my next two areas. Right now, this current level that we're at, the 65-day EMA is 818. So this would be a big level to get over.
Okay. And then really quickly here, Joe, you were asking earlier, when it comes to Ondas here, you were saying, is it new or is it repackaged old news? So what I did here was I basically loaded the PR in a different window so that I could read it while 13 was going over that. So this definitely reads as good news, but no, I do not think that this is a brand new surprise or anything. This is about this border security program. This was first announced last year. I think this was December of last year. They also mentioned the 4M subsidiary here. This just sounds like this is a possible follow-on order here. So I think what they're saying is that they're starting the actual work itself. So I don't think it's necessarily new. Yeah, see, we have 2 new active land clearing programs underway with 4M Defense. So I don't think it's like a new piece of news here, but they're basically telling you that it's moving along here. The underlying story is not new. This is an update on the underlying story. That's what's going on here. Nice to see the stock responding to this. Ondas up nicely here today.
I hadn't looked at the news from BlackBerry this morning because I'd already seen a lot of it about the naval and military environments it's trying to move more into with their certified communications division, their communications division. But the news today was more on their QNX platform and how it's going to integrate more with AI and robotics. It's interesting because QNX, that's the platform for vehicles. And it's in a lot of vehicles. I think I was last looking at that back in 2021. They already had like something like 200 million vehicles with QNX in it. But that's a platform that's one of the most trusted and secure for vehicle diagnostics.
INFQ back on my scanner here, 13. Yep. Oh, and there we go. Inflection. Okay, it's going to load. We're going to give it a sec. I know I'm clicking too quick. And here, you know what, 13? Let me actually extend this trend line here because that might actually prove to be resistance throughout the course of the day here. Possibly. This is one we had from last week. There we go. So that target is going to put us at about 19. S&P, by the way, sorry, 13. I know I just interrupted you again. Okay. S&P, I was telling you earlier that my indicator was flashing a signal. It was flirting with it. Just needed to wait a little bit. It ended up going higher here. So SPY is trying to push 710 as the resistance. Dead AI thinks we're going green. Honestly, we're only a stone's throw from that 0.08% from going red to green here on SPY. I think we probably get that. Ondas pumping. Here we go. 1058.
FCHL was a great one. I mentioned that already. Do you want to see something that I was using to do this trade? If you go to a 5-minute chart and you back out, so you see the past few days. If you look at I think that's what Thursday, the end of Thursday, there was a high, and then we dropped off in the pre-market the following day. But there we still got some other. Yeah, you got to go to a 5-minute.
I know. I'm trying to get the shading back on here because we were dealing with this stupid intermittent problem, and that shading really. Here we go. This shading really helps me identify what days. Sure. So you were talking about the Thursday high. Here it is.
Now draw it through the pre-market high from.
Got today. You.
And that gave us a little bit of a target when we opened, and we're through it now.
I look at the delay. It's not as if I'm not trying to draw your trend line. Here it is, and you're absolutely right. We're going right through that there. Okay, good stuff there. FCHL, good mention on that, Ed, earlier. And then Tom saying FCHL, is it trading higher because of the public offering news on Friday? Well, it looks like that's getting bought up, right? The offering took it down on Friday, and it looks like we're getting a regression back to the mean here.
I bet if you read into, because there's news on this about the offering, but if you read into what that offering entails, I think you might see that there's a reason for this to go higher. The public offering of these units is for, and I think this is referring to the units themselves, so I don't think it's referring to the stock price, but they will have an exercise price of 263.5. So I think that's giving this a little bit of a lift here.
Okay. Real quick here, Joe saying, Ryan, thanks for having a look at that. Ondas has a great PR team. It seems like every other day, but often it's almost incremental and often redundant. Well, I think what's going on here is, given everything that's going on with the government and with the conflicts abroad, I think basically what they're doing is that they're trying to show that they're doing all of this, right? Like they're trying to show that maybe it's not necessarily new news, but they're trying to show that the government demand is high and that it's not going anywhere. And I think that's trying to support the price here. Nonetheless, though, I'll take it. I love the way it's responding to the news here.
So FCHL is now into an upside halt. When this unhalts, I'm just going to say it. We could see 120, 130, possibly. No guarantee, but it just that's a big area of resistance that we could go right up to. So because we're about to break through $1 out of the halt. So we'll see if we get all that. Couple of things here. Forrest's mentioning that BlackBerry's up almost 7%, and Jay's saying that AVEX is ripping. It's a small float, just like Swarmer, and now you have UMAC on there as well.
Yeah, UMAC was being mentioned here by Izzy. Yep. This moved right out of the gate here. Let me see if there was any fresh news on this, or if this is just kind of moving with the general theme there. Buffalo by Bicycle, I sell Ondas about every month. Helps me put my bag in the black. That's great. Here's what we have from Ukraine. GPS disruption. So this is more of kind of like a general drone related PR here that is driving UMAC. What was that other one? AVEX? Did I get that right? What was the name of that? What was that?
AVEX. Yeah.
AVEX. All right, let's take a look at that. And then, I know there's a lot of stuff going on right now, folks.
We'll get to the HIMS chart, Izzy. We got you.
Navigation and autonomy, uncrewed systems and mission solutions engineered to deliver at speed and built for the modern battle space. This is in the exact same theme here. This looks like this was a recent IPO, right?
It might be. I mean, if it's like Swarmer, then it should be.
Yeah, recent IPO looks like it's the 17th. It opened for trade at 23 a share. It was priced at 20 a share, and today 37 a share. Very much like Swarmer. You're spot on with that. Look at this. Wow.
So the interesting one with UMAC here is that this is so it's I'm trying to understand if this is a system that's going to protect against GPS deniability, or if this is going to do it. I think this is supposed to protect against it, or be some kind of alternative to if they are GPS denied. It's a drone. It's in the drone theme, but they're basically talking about how GPS is used to traffic drones around, and if they lose that capability, then they can't control them. So I guess I have to look into this some more, but it's very, very interesting news with UMAC. Okay, now HIMS.
Now I can go to that here too.
That's up.
Let's do that here.
Let's see. We opened at what 28.50 or just above it. Now we're up at 31.60. I'm not seeing any news, but It must be the FDA peptide restrictions. It's just, I think it might just be continuing to move on that. There's also some significant short interest in this, although the days to cover is not where we'd want it to be. Still, lots of short interest. I think that's probably what it's moving on. The FDA news on peptides.
Really quick, 13. I'm looking at this, and thank you for bringing this up here, Izzy. And I'm sorry, I'm a stock behind 13 here, but he's lightning fast. There's just nothing I can do about it. You folks talking about this whole UMAC thing here and the GPS reliability here. This seems to me that, this is saying that there's demand for autonomous systems, whether they be drones or otherwise, that are able to still work when GPS is jammed or when it doesn't work. I think that's what they're talking about, the erosion of GPS reliability here, right from the PR itself. GPR denial is now battlefield a reality. So again, I think that they're going to need some of these systems to still work if GPS is. How are you going to have an autonomous or unmanned drone if you know where it's going if the GPS is jammed and not working?
FCHL open and above $1 now. HIMS, real quickly to wrap this one up. You're coming up to the 500-day SMA. That could provide a resistance area, but I think 34 is going to be the big level. This is at a 76 RSI right now on the daily. So this is a move today. I think that you would probably want to trim or sell into because I don't think it's going to go a whole lot higher before we start to see it come back down to cool off the RSI.
And Zach, by the way, I'm going to give you both of those. I'm sorry I'm late on this. Your 980 reversal call on Ondas or that area, that was very, very crispy. Very, very well done.
Okay, so Izzy, if HIMS has peptide and the FDA is looking to loosen that restriction, then certainly this is going to continue. But like I just said, this is getting extended. Some of those levels that I pointed out, that's probably where this is going to go to before you start seeing that selling ramp up. It is pretty up there. All right. So FCHL is awesome. That's continuing to climb. We're going right to, it looks like the 125 area, maybe 150 is going to be in the cards as well.
Former penny stock in dollar territory again.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Zach. Good stuff, Izzy. I'll tell you what, the chat here today, you folks you turned it up to 11 today. You turned it up to 11 today. Hey, is Anne-Marie back? So a great question. Anne-Marie, I believe, will be back, but not until Friday this week. In fact, I didn't even tell producer. He's probably sitting there listening like, oh my God, another effing curveball, really? I believe Anne-Marie is tied up tomorrow. She has another obligation, but she should be back on Friday. Westcap, I will do my best to confirm that this week so that I can let you know for sure. I know we're very good about people's schedules here. I'm thankful for everyone that joins us here. Family always comes first. We talk about Benzinga kind of being a family. Family always comes first for our employees and our guests as well. I believe Anne-Marie is taking care of some of that, but yes, she will be back.
FCHL is just amazing. It's hitting some of the targets we just mentioned. It just went to 125. We got some sellers in the way here. I would anticipate there being some potential pullback. And if we do get that and find support, like let's say still above $1, we could still potentially see 150. But great. This has been a fantastic move. Congratulations to all that took it.
I'll tell you what, this was, in fact, it was Edward earlier that brought this up. I know I generally don't cover penny stocks. This was a really good mention. I'm glad I covered it early. This is more than a double from when Ed mentioned it, and it had already started moving there.
Jay saying Dell all-time highs. It certainly is. This thing.
Ed, 200% and out. Congrats, buddy. That's how you start a Monday, Ed.
When the case of the Mondays gets you 200%, that's a good Monday.
I was going to say, that's a good case of the Mondays then. We'll take that.
So Dell up at new all-time highs. I was just looking at Chewy. I still have a long-term prospect on this. This is having a good day. As a matter of fact, the intraday chart looking like this is going to try and push higher. Kind of just went up out of the open, created a bull pennant. Looks like we're going to shoot for 29 at some point today.
Ooh, we're seeing a lot of Tesla puts. I saw Ethan mentioning one of our Twitter viewers saying that this dip is buyable here in Tesla. Tesla actually looks like it's trying to break lower here, seeing a whole bunch of puts bought on the back of that move.
Okay, so FCHL, we are halted to the downside just beneath $1. It's a pretty ugly looking candle, but this is the warning that we were looking, kind of putting out there. Yep. This is so there it is. We got the pullback, but we're still above that trend line. So let's see what happens when we unhalt. Maybe we go down to that trend line or the VWAP, find support there and recapture $1, possibly. But man, what a great move all the way up to 125.
Okay, that was a good move, good mention. Lion here, I love this, Lion. I love this. Lion saying, Ryan, I'm going to load the boat and buy a bunch of Meta and Google calls. Okay, help us out here, Lion. So you're definitely bullish Meta and Google. I think what I like the most about this is that you're telling us this on a day where both of these stocks are trading lower, so it's not as if we're chasing performance gains. Help the group out here. What time horizon are you looking at? If you have a why for that, let us know. But then also, what strikes are you looking at for that? So I'm interested in this. Meta and Google, looking at more upside there. I know you had said earlier you think that there is going to be a peace deal somewhat soon. I'm not going to press you on the time frame because I don't know, and neither does anyone else, frankly. But I would imagine both of these would be great trades if we get that. Let us know strike and expiry of those trades. Appreciate you sharing that with the group.
Meta not down that much at all. If you look at a daily
1.6%, yeah.
And if you look at a daily chart, this is just we fell beneath the 200-day SMA, but not a whole lot lower. But check out this area where we've been getting support around. I guess it's like about 675. This was a resistance area when we lost the level in October last year, and it's been a really strong resistance level ever since. So if we can continue to hold above 675, then we should see 700 pretty shortly here. If not, break out of this trend line here. If you take the two highs, the two all-time highs from August 15th and September looks like 18th or 19th, and draw a trend line with that, that's where I think we're going to go if we continue to hold above 675.
Okay, here's your trend line. Lion says 675 calls that expire in May, so the exact same level that 13 was just looking at there. Great stuff from both of you on the fly.
There we go. All right, what's looking good right now?
I feel like I can finally take a breath here. Sorry if I've been running my mouth nonstop since I got back from the washroom. But then, yeah, I guess Knarp, thank you for keeping me honest there. I asked him about Meta and Google. Let me know. For Google, is there anything else on there, Lion, that's leading you to want to trade that to the upside? Just wondering. Good stuff, though. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Tesla's broken lower. Ondas still holding up here, 1060s. Apple's still holding higher. I know you guys said Apple was a safety trade. Sure feels like that still. And then Marvell. What's going on with Marvell? I know that the number of 3D, are you out there? You have been absolutely crushing Marvell recently. Marvell looks like we might be back testing this trend line here. It's still higher on the day by 3.8%, but it's lower than the pre-market area in the open. Looks like there's some resistance there, 148.5. Company is partnering with Google to build 2 new AI chips. Izzy saying that Project Hail Mary was awesome. 13, I know that you had said that that looked interesting. You were starting to see some reports about that. Izzy, appreciate that report. 3D's here. 3D, how you doing? Marvell again. How you doing, 3D?
I got to point this out when it comes to Meta and Google, because every time I hear those two mentioned together, the very first thing that comes to my mind is their fiber optic subsea backbone capacity. They are two companies, I think probably the only two companies that are undergoing this massive long haul operation. And it's meant to connect data centers globally. But Meta and Google are laying down massive amounts of fiber optic cable across seabeds. So, and yeah, see, Lion, I'm right there with you when it comes to Google. They're probably the communication company to own right now. And I say that ahead of SpaceX's IPO, because that might be the communication company to own afterwards. But Google is a very, very important company when it comes to global fiber optic cable connectability, them and Meta.
I like Google for so many reasons. That fiber optic is just another one in the long list. I mean, I love them for YouTube. I love them for a lot of stuff like that. Google, to me, of all of the Mag 7s, one of the most appealing for the long term.
And Buffalo by Bicycle, GLW is who Meta is using. Absolutely.
And that's why we saw that make a huge run as well. 13, Marvell is a winner. That's what we like to hear. So are you. Keep those winners coming. Several of you mentioning AEHR. This trading up out of that sideways area after holding the impulse move. This was Thursday morning. So let's see if AEHR can recrack those highs and then make a run for triple digits. And then you guys are mentioning CAR. And I you know what? I had this on my list to take a look at here today, but we've been so back and forth with the other stuff. This is actually the first time. We only have 12 minutes left here. Here's CAR. Let me just put something out here. We talked about CAR being a short squeeze. We talked about what CAR did the last time it short squeezed, and albeit the last time it did that, it popped up in one day and started to come back in the next. This CAR short squeeze or gamma squeeze has been much longer in its duration. In other words, that move higher has taken longer to materialize. We all know that gravity is going to impact the stock at some point. Jay, I appreciate you sharing. I think it was David Prince and the short that he was taking. You had shared that last week. CAR downgrade, can't even sell it off. I'm hearing 2 shareholders control most of the float. So here's the deal. Here's what the daily chart looks like. This is still squeezing, folks. And last week, I know even though we didn't have Anne-Marie, someone mentioned here about the squeeze on early in the week last week. And I sent her a message and I said, hey, take a look at CAR. I know you're busy, but when you have a chance, take a look at CAR and let me know what you think about a possible regression back to the mean when the short squeeze exhausts itself. And one of the things that she told me is she said, this might go on a little bit longer than it looks. Be careful. Because one of the things I said is that I wanted to just buy puts on its own. And here we are, stock's up another 50 points from when I looked at it last week. So Anne-Marie, if you're out there saving me some money here, I'm still interested. Who's looking to short this? How are you looking to short it? What's the plan?
SRS Investment Management is a major shareholder with nearly 50% of the...
Look at 13. Look at my boy 13.
And then you have, afterwards, you have Pentwater Capital Management. They've got roughly somewhere between 10 and 23%. And then the institutional shareholders really drop off after that. But it's those two that make up most of the ownership, especially SRS Investment Management with nearly 50%.
Okay. Okay. Let me know what the 13, you don't have a short on this. I don't think so. I'm just shot in the dark. Okay. Let me know, any of you folks out there. I want one, but don't have one. Sorry, 13? Sorry.
I'm not going to get in front of a moving car.
Okay. I see what you did there. Well done. Well done, 13. And then Chris is reminding you that your BlackBerry call from this morning still pushing higher here. I know it's only in a 5 handle, but still pushing higher here.
Yeah.
Lion, you're going to short CAR. Let me know. I'm interested. I am interested. Those contracts are effing expensive, though.
Yeah, BlackBerry had some news. It's kind of changing, and I think this is going to probably get it to a growth phase. But they also have some. I guess that's a little bit of a misprint there. I thought they had some high short interest, but they don't. CAR is self-driving.
Okay, you guys, like I said, you guys have all turned it up to 11 today. The participation, the idea generation. All of that stuff has been great. The jokes also really good. We love that here.
PBM tried to break out of that trend line that we drew, but it was rejected. And it came right back down to the 65 EMA.
I was rejected right by that VWAP. Good mention. CLF, EKS. You know what? I probably should have had that in my rundown, EKS. Thank you for keeping us on task here. CLF, which is Cleveland Cliffs. Boy, I think I need to refresh my platform. CLF, Cleveland Cliffs, reported earnings here today, sold off down to $9. Now, it is bouncing here. What do you think, EKS? Do you buy this earnings dip or no? Let me actually refresh my platform so I get a little bit better latency. Ondas trying to break and go higher still. 1067, your intraday high print.
I don't know about that formation in CLF. Let me look at their earnings, see what that was about.
Appreciate you, 13. Buffalo by Bicycle proclaims it as junk, with in all caps with multiple exclamation points. Just saying.
Not planning to pursue refinement of rare earth.
Oh, that's not what people wanted to hear.
No. Iran war destabilized metal supply chain. Our order book is full. Production schedules are tight. Gosh, sounds like some things are with this company are straying upon the edge of a knife.
That doesn't sound good. V. Holman, really quick, because I asked directly, I love this answer. Consider shorting CAR through credit spreads. Juicy premiums. The squeeze was triggered by a share issuance in March when it was over 50% short. You too feel as if it shall reverse. I think the big thing here with me, V. Holman, is what expiry do we need to take for that? I love your idea of using credit spreads, though. Use a spread. Lion here saying I'm going to pay for a leap put on CAR. Lion is, of course, money bags. From what I understand, Lion literally has bags of money falling from the ceiling in his restaurant. He has got so much money, he doesn't even know where to put it.
Where's that restaurant? You're paying me to eat there? Shit.
CAR 150 puts expire in September. There you go, Lion.
Oh,
New highs for Ondas, 1069.
Yeah, and BlackBerry is about to cross 10%. Look at this last just impulse that we had here. It's still going.
You know, it's funny. I actually haven't seen BlackBerry options on the scanner here at all today.
Ooh, and Citus comes out with an offering.
Right now? Like
that's what Biff just mentioned, is that Citus had an offering, and they are down big. Yep.
Oh, my God. Saidu down almost 20%.
Yep.
Wow, big time pull there. 435 was your offering price. That's right where it's at. Jay, sorry, the stuff's moving quickly. Jay also suggested spreads. Jay, what spreads are you taking on the CAR short? I'd be interested in that too, frankly. Sorry, I missed your other comment there. Lion says, come to North Carolina, 13. We will feed you until you say enough. I can't take it anymore. I might join him for that trip. And while we're in North Carolina, we might as well stop by Tim Melvin, see how he's doing too.
Why don't we just all eat Lion?
Should we just have a meetup in North Carolina?
Just eat at Lion's restaurant.
Call it the Lions Restaurant meetup.
Yeah,
Let's all show up there. That would be hilarious, actually.
Yeah, since he's hosting us and everything, we'll call it the Lion's Share.
Oh, this is oh my God. My eyes rolled back so hard I can't even see.
I am full of it. Anyway, CETX, this one kind of showing up here on my little scan. We had this one opened at 115. It's now gone up almost 9%. It's very, very slow moving, but just kind of just showed up here. So I thought it was worth a mention. Just looking around for some things that are moving right now, and that just popped up. Oh, yeah, let's look at Kodak. What's that doing today? That has been, wow. This thing continued to climb over $13, but looks like this is going to come back in. And if it does, I think we get a test of the probably the 1150, 1160 area. I think that's where we're coming down to with Kodak. But this is very extended on the daily chart. 82 RSI, just a massive run in this one since the beginning of March.
Debt AI, press the like for a green market. I'm going to reuse this. This is so good. I'm going to reuse this. And Lions Denner. I like it, Wes. I like it a lot. May 550, 600 were 20. You're risking 30. I'm going not as wide and higher. I'm going the chicken way. Jay, I would probably be interested in going the chicken way too. I'm not good at shorting. I'm very confident Carr's going to fall. I can't tell you when. I don't want to be obliterated on my short, whether it's a defined short via options or whatever. I just don't want to get obliterated. I would probably choose the chicken way also.
EKS mentioning that there's no bounce after earnings in Netflix, and certainly we have we lost the 20-day SMA off the earnings, and we traded underneath it on Friday. Still trading beneath it today, coming down to a support area from December. We had a lot of sideways price action that created a bit of a support resistance area. So now we are down there as support. We also have the 500 and the 50-day SMAs beneath that as well, providing additional support. But those would be all levels I'd be watching for. And if we don't hold above those, $90 looks like the breakdown level into a gap fill.
Also, 13, look at the INFQ trend line that I extended. It literally acted as resistance and swatted the price back down.
Fantastic.
So 13, right? Did I get that right? 13 is one of your ad levels for this stock if it gets down there?
I think it was like 1350. Let me
1350. Okay, I was close. I just want to make sure I get the number right. Thank you, 13. VIX in a 19 handle. That's actually lower than the pre-market levels. VIX up 9.5% still. Oil holding pretty steady at plus 4.5%. A good day overall, though.
And underneath 1350 for inflection, you have $12, which is where the just above where the 20-day SMA is. That $12 area also looks like a very strong support area if that 1350 doesn't hold up.
Okay. SPY on the VWAP. Indeed, Billy, they actually just pulled a little bit there and is pulling right to the VWAP. We'll see if VWAP holds. I'll tell you what, the 0 DTE trading, not great. That first one worked, but it didn't work big like it did last week. So if you missed it, I wouldn't feel bad about that. I ended up not trading that, just on ASTS here today. Nice to see Ondas moving. Nice to see IDAI up a little bit here.
Look at USAR. This it looks like this is kind of putting in a bit of a bullpen and looking to go higher here. We had this impulse move up out of the gate. Now we're kind of compressing into a little bit of a symmetrical triangle, so that's the pennant part. Watching for a move back over 23. That could be the indication we need that this is going to push up to 24.
Okay. 13, I'll tell you what, these are the types of Mondays I could get used to. I feel like we blinked and the time just disappeared. We're out of time already here today. Really good stuff from you and the group. Sorry about the technical problem. Thank you for battling through it. And thank you to our guests from Direxion, who also battled through that and then shared great info on where folks are rotating into. 13, any closing words for the group here?
Well, folks, it's another wonderful start to the week. We're going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be some volatility with the Strait of Hormuz opening and closing again. So as long as that keeps going on, we should see a lot of continued volatility. So just keep coming back here. We'll identify what's moving in markets, where the risks are, and we'll make some money in doing all of that. So until then, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
13, you're the best. Have a good one. We'll follow up with you tomorrow, and we'll see you on Happy Hour. That is 13, folks. We're done here for today, but we'll be back at this again tomorrow. I want to thank everybody for choosing to spend your time with the Benzinga Pre-Market Playbook crew. For me, 13, the producer, and everyone else here at Benzinga, thanks for watching. Stay green, stay safe. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.